96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
It says radical change needed in the climate fight. A former F&M MP says the party is in a terrible state. And a woman is assaulted in a jail cell. It's all straight ahead this morning. I'm Dwight Strachan, and this is Morning Blend.
It's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that it's there. It's the start of the end of the old way. Revolution. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning again, Bahamas. It is Tuesday, October 26th, 2021. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Again, I'm Dwight Strachan. In a moment, Don Sargent will be joining us. Also this morning, we've got another drawing of the Bahamas COVID vaccine raffle. The COVID vaccination raffle continues, and two great prizes and two great winners will be announced today. And later in Morning Blend Business, we're getting reaction to what the Tourism and Investments Minister, Chester Cooper, said about encouraging Chinese investment in tourism, agriculture, and infrastructure in the Bahamas. Is this the right direction we should be taking at this time? We'll put that to our panel this morning and get their views. That's coming up. But first, it's time for the Overnight, the latest breaking news from while we're sleeping, and the top national and international headlines this morning. In the overnight, Prime Minister Philip Davis says that 15% of the Bahamas' gross domestic product is threatened by climate change. He was speaking at a climate change forum hosted by One Young World. He says that he's not talking about some far-off catastrophic event that will occur decades from now. He said, quote, countries like mine are already experiencing those disasters today, and hurricanes are far from the only threat that climate change poses. Prime Minister Davis saying that an estimated 15% of our national GDP and 11% of our people are threatened by the accompanying rise in sea level. He says our marine life and fisheries are also at risk as climate change threatens the survival of critical marine habitats like coral reefs. A study published last year found that 74% of tourism-based jobs in the Bahamas will likely be at risk due to a Category 5 hurricane by the year 2100. It notes that such a storm's impact on beaches will likely lead to a decrease in visitor expenditure by nearly $1 billion. and the Bahamas has already begun to feel both the environmental and economic impact of climate change. Most Bahamian islands were affected by major hurricanes, all Category 4 and Category 5 storms between 2015 and 2018. More than 60% of Bahamians and residents are either fully or partially vaccinated, according to figures from the Ministry of Health and Wellness. In total, as of October 23rd, 255,085 total doses of the COVID-19 vaccine were administered in the country. In all, 32% of Bahamians and residents are fully vaccinated, and 33% have received one dose, excluding the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. So far, for October, 47,251 doses were administered compared to 61,096 doses in September and 39,840 doses in August. But the country still continues to lag behind other CARICOM countries. The Bahamas ranked near the bottom of CARICOM countries for its total percentage of people fully vaccinated against the virus. A 32-year-old vagrant admitted to the indecent assault of a woman at the East Street South police station. Prosecutors say Ryan Ramond Bodie, of no fixed address, sexually assaulted the 25-year-old woman while they shared a cell at the station on October 21st. The woman was detained on a traffic warrant, and police arrested Bodie after he allegedly threatened to kill his father. It's unclear why they were placed in the same cell. Bodie pleaded guilty to the indecent assault charge. His arraignment before Magistrate Kendra Kelly. The magistrate remanded Bodie to the Department of Correctional Services for psychiatric assessment to determine his fitness to plead. He's scheduled to make his next court appearance on December 14th. The Bahamas Humane Society ransacked after it was broken into. This happened over the weekend, according to Humane Society General Manager Percy Grant. He says that they don't keep money on the premises, but they did have a $500 float, which those thieves took. But the office was severely trashed. Grant says the incident was most unfortunate, as he described how the perpetrators hopped a fence and broke into the animal shelter through its back door. They kicked the doors down and really threw things around in the office. But no medicines and microscopes were taken and none of the animals were harmed. The Davis administration will introduce legislation to increase the minimum wage before the end of the year, according to Press Secretary Clint Watson. He says there's no particular date, but it's expected to happen between now and December. And Damian Gomez QC says that the findings of a probe into BPL will exonerate his client, former BPL executive chairperson Darnell Osborne, after she and other board members were dismissed 3 years ago amid claims of political interference at the power company. Osborne is seeking a court declaration that the appointment of a new BPL board back in August 2018 was illegal and that all acts performed by it are void, illegal, and of no effect. Osborne and former board members Nicola Thompson and Nick Dean took legal action against the then Minister of Public Works Desmond Bannister in 2019 and are seeking damages for wrongful dismissal from the BPL board and damages for misfeasance in public office. The trio is seeking $1.1 million in damages. Gomez says that the matter is expected to go to trial in January. Overseas, pro-democracy protesters blocked roads in Sudan's capital with makeshift barricades and burning tires today, a day after the military seized power in a swift coup, widely denounced by the international community. The takeover coming after weeks of mounting tensions between military and civilian leaders over the course and the pace of Sudan's transition to democracy. It threatened to derail that entire process, which has progressed in fits and starts since the overthrow of longtime autocrat Omar al-Bashir in a popular uprising 2 years ago. The United Nations Security Council was to discuss the situation in a closed-door meeting later today. Western governments and the UN condemned the coup and called for the release of the Prime Minister and other senior officials who were arrested on Monday. U.S. President Joe Biden's administration announced the suspension of $700 million in emergency assistance to Sudan, a nation in Africa linked by language and culture to the Arab world. In sports, a two-man team didn't get the medal finishes they were looking for, but still turned in some spirited efforts at the UCI, the International Cycling Union's Junior Caribbean Cycling Championships in the Dominican Republic over the weekend, competing internationally for the first time in nearly 2 years because of the threat of the COVID-19 pandemic. The team mustered up enough energy to secure a pair of 11th place finishes. About 100 cyclists from 10 countries took part in the two-day championship. In the 15 to 16 age group, pre-juveniles, Barron Musgrove Jr. finished 11th in the 10K, the 6.21 miles individual time trials on Saturday, and failed to finish the 43-mile road race on Sunday. In the individual time trials, he finished in 17 minutes and 25 seconds, 3 minutes and 17 seconds behind the winner. You can read more about how the rest of the team did in today's Guardian Sports section. As the Bahamas captures the attention of the basketball world with its abundance of talent, Bahamian coach Marvin Henfield has decided to open what he calls the first indoor shooting gym in the country as a venue for the Marvin Henfield Basketball Shooting Academy. It's calling the gym The Lab. It's set to be fully opened on November 15th. Located on Thompson Boulevard or University Drive in New Providence behind Jones Communications, the first of its kind gym will feature 10 indoor rims and 10 outdoor rims. Guardian Sports caught up with Henfield at the facility. You can read more about the vision in today's Guardian Sports section. From the NFL Monday Night Football action, the New Orleans Saints capitalizing on the Seattle Seahawks' mistakes for a 13-10 win. The Saints improved to 4-2. Seattle now falls to 2-5. That's sports, and that's the overnight. Time for your first look at weather. In your first look at weather for today, we've got a prefrontal trough and residual moisture that's going to support the chance of a few showers today. Meanwhile, an eastward moving cold front north of the Bahamas will promote moderate to locally strong winds across the northwest Bahamas. Boaters should be alert for the risk of waterspout activity, and there is a risk of rip currents along west coast beaches. For the northwest Bahamas today, your forecast calls for variably cloudy and breezy conditions with isolated showers and the chance of isolated thunderstorms, mainly near the trough through tonight. A small craft caution remains in effect for boaters. Winds westerly at 15 to 20 knots, seas 4 to 6 feet. For the central and southeast Bahamas today, cloudy with the chance of isolated showers through tonight. Winds southeast to south at 10 to 15 knots, falling light and variable. Seas 2 to 4 feet. Temperature-wise right now, it's about 79, 80 degrees in Nassau, 78 in Freeport. We're looking at highs getting up to around 88 Fahrenheit, 31 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to about 75 Fahrenheit, 24 Celsius. That's your first look at weather this morning. We'll have your extended outlook and a look at the tropics coming up after traffic in just a bit.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
You're listening to Morning Blend. When we come back, we're discussing today's top stories right here on Guardian Radio 96.9, your home for fresh news and smart talk all day.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
deserves to make our lives better, so why not your business too? At Custom Computers, we've been maintaining our knowledge and relationships with top tech companies since 1987 and carry only the most trusted brands like Apple, Microsoft. No company has helped more businesses build reliable IT systems than Custom Computers. You name it, we've done it. Call 396-1101 to talk to any of our business experts. Find trust in your tech. Count on Custom Computers.
Your child needs nutrients every day, and Enfagrow has DHA and iron, which supports your child's mental development. Enfagrow has components which cow's milk does not contain. Support your toddler's growth and complement their diet with Enfagrow. Let's fuel the wonder. This product is not intended to be a substitute for breast milk. Milk does not contain DHA, but contains calcium and other nutrients.
We are working to protect our country, our people, and our livelihoods so that we can move forward. The vaccine is safe. The vaccine is easy. The vaccine is our recovery. If we want to rebuild our economy, if we want to get back to our jobs, if we want to get back to our lives, our families, we must do this together.
Hurricane season is here. If you're not prepared, it can really turn your life upside down. Fortunately, there's CG Atlantic General. Our people are here, ready to assist at a moment's notice, with protection like alternative accommodation for those who are displaced due to a storm. It's our priority to make sure you have what you need when you need it most. So when your life gets turned upside down, we can help to turn it around. CG Atlantic General. Good like that. Security and General Insurance Company Limited, trading as CG Atlantic General. Contact a CG Atlantic General broker today.
When engaging in physical activity, it is normal for the body to get fatigued. In the same way, COVID-19 has brought on fatigue, but we must not give up the fight. Wear your mask over your mouth and nose, stay at least 3 feet apart from others, wash and sanitize your hands often, and avoid touching your face. Together, we will win.
This message is brought to you by the PAHO WHO Bahamas and Turks and Caicos Country Office, the Ministry of Health, and the Healthy Bahamas Coalition.
Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Street, has those hard-to-find fasteners for you right now. You can find stainless steel regular hex, carriage bolts, galvanized bolts, threaded rods, nails, self-tap screws, sex bolts, anchor bolts, turnbuckles, masonry tools, hand tools, and weed whacker strings. Check out the rope selection and carb body fasteners too. Special orders are welcome. It's your #1 fastener store. Screws and Fastener, Palm Beach Streets. Call 326-1976.
That's the sound of a bite-sized payment I made on my new laptop.
Can I make a bite-sized payment on this amazing vacation?
Yes, with Scotia Select Pay. Now my big-ticket credit card purchases are more manageable with flexible bite-sized payments over 3, 6, 9, or 12 months at a lower interest rate. Scotia Select Pay allows me to better plan my expenses over time. The best part? No credit checks or financing application. Visit bs.scotiabank.com. Conditions apply.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that it's the start of the end of the old way. Revolution. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We are streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Flow Channel 612. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan. Joining me now, Don Sargent. Don Sargent, good morning.
Morning, Dwight.
Good morning. Great to have you with us as always.
Yes, it's great to be alive.
All right.
Sort of.
Ish? Oh, my. Okay, well, you can work on that, I'm sure. But, hey, we have a lot to talk about today. And, folks, you can join the conversation. We'll give you the phone numbers to call in just a bit. You can also tweet us at MorningBlend969 or Facebook, facebook.com/MorningBlend969. Follow us follow us. All the information we talk about on the show is posted, most of it at least, posted directly on those things. So if you missed something, you want to find out how to reach the guests or who the guests were, it's going to be there on our Facebook or Twitter pages. So follow us and be kept informed. All right. You can also email us, morningblend@nasguard.com, or you can text us on the Guardian Radio text line powered by BTC 422-GR96. That's 422-4796. Standard text rate supply. Coming up this morning, more weather and traffic. And the news, a lot to get to today. And in our 8 o'clock hour, we've got another drawing of the Bahamas COVID vaccination raffle. 2 more prizes to give away and 2 more winners to be announced this morning. Then in our 9 o'clock hour, we told you about this yesterday, Tourism and Investments Minister Chester Cooper encouraging Chinese investment in tourism, agriculture, and infrastructure. Some eyebrows were raised after that came out there, but what should we make of that? We're going to talk to our guests about that this morning. Are there opportunities, or should we be wary? That's coming up. But right now, it's time to get into what's in the news. And in the news, just as we said, a lot to talk about. This morning, we hope to get to F&M MP, or former F&M MP, Frederick McAlpine, what he's saying about the party, the state of the party today. Then there's just some very disturbing stories involving the police. A woman in a police cell, and a man is put in the police cell with her. And nobody knows why the police did this, but she is indecently assaulted in that cell. We're going to talk about that in a moment. And we told you about this yesterday, about the man who had his teeth knocked out to the officer. And he's speaking out about this, and you'll hear about that as well. And then the Humane Society broken into and ransacked. What is going on here? We're going to get into all of that. Just want to quickly talk about the headline in the Nassau Guardian today. Radical change needed in climate fight. Prime Minister Davis warning that 15% of the Bahamas' GDP is at risk due to climate change. The Prime Minister was speaking at a climate change forum hosted by the One Young World Group. Again, 15% of the country's GDP threatened by climate change. He told the forum, quote, "When I speak of the threat of climate change, I am not talking about some far-off catastrophic event that will occur decades from now. Countries like mine are already experiencing those disasters today, and hurricanes are the only threat that climate change poses. An estimated 15% of our national GDP and 11% of our people are threatened by the accompanying rise in sea level. Our marine life and fisheries are also at risk, as climate change threatens the survival of critical marine habitats like coral reefs. We need big, radical changes to abate this trend and save countries like the Bahamas from a perilous fate. Every coastal region in the world has been or will be severely impacted by climate change in some way." And we've heard this before. We've heard our leaders before make these appeals, whether it's at forums like this or at the UN even. And it is critical. We've had studies. This article in today's paper talks about studies that show just how devastating things could be in a few years, and how more frequent we will see terrible storms, and how we've already, in the last few years, faced so many storms between 2015 and 2019, all Category 4 and up storms. And things are just going to get worse. My question, though, is are the majority of Bahamians practicing what some of these folks are preaching? Are we living by this as well, what we expect other countries to do? Are we trying to find more sustainable ways to do everything that we do in our lives, whether it's the choices we make in the appliances or electronics or vehicles that we buy, and what we throw away and don't throw away, and recycling materials. Are we doing this? We're demanding this from other countries. Is it unfair to ask that of us, seeing as what we're doing is minuscule compared to what others are doing, or do we need to practice what we preach? Don, what say you on that? And folks, I want to hear from you about that as well. Are we just making noise, but doing the same thing as everybody else?
Well, it's complicated.
Is it complicated?
I mean, the emissions part of the whole climate change and stopping hitting us from hitting 1.5 or 2 degrees above the current temperatures to make the oceans warmer, yada, yada, yada. Even if we all went through 10 more years of 2020 with the world consumption of oil absolutely plummeting and most people not driving, it wouldn't really make a dent at this point, because we're coming from like a handful of corporations and countries, predominantly from the production of energy, the different methods they're using for drilling for oil, the fracking methods that are being used. It's when I say it's complicated, it's like it's one of those situations where I understand what Prime Minister Davis is saying I agree, but it's forcing the situation is one that a lot of countries realize, especially like that of France and China and the United States, realize that it became quite apparent even this year that simply if we all stop driving for 10 years, it's still not going to reverse things or slow it down enough. That it requires a complete engine change of economic output and the production of electricity, like I said. And that is proving to be exceptionally difficult for a lot of countries, especially as a lot of nuclear plants go down. So I don't know, Dwight. I dare say it's a very railroading towards that with no real way to put your hand on the brakes. Or for at least us in the Bahamas, space. But are we reflecting that? I would say no. Remember the former Prime Minister went to the UN to make a speech after Dorian. And unfortunately, shortly after that, we ended up buying diesel generators, which is very interesting conversation on that. So it's a wonky one. And a lot of countries do find themselves in positions, especially after the pandemic, where the cost of going renewables isn't always
right.
Something that they can swallow on the fiscal position. Of course, wealthier countries can easily do it, but a lot of developing nations will struggle with this. Especially countries like India. So
okay, and I get that, and BPL and others will tell you that yes, that's going to be a more cost-effective way, and people are already challenged with the cost of energy in the country. Sure, but I'm talking primarily on a personal level. If we as individuals, I know, as you said, and that's right, it won't do all that much in the grand scheme of things, but at least it'll say, won't it say that, well, the people there are serious, even though unfortunately they still have to use diesel because of the cost and whatever, but everybody there recycles, or everybody there drives a hybrid or an electric, or everybody there refuses to use this type of product and they only use this. But when we are out there buying the biggest gas-guzzling SUVs and, just throwing everything away and not even considering, not even having the discussion about recycling, it just seems like a bunch of hypocrisy to me. But maybe I am totally out of it. What do you all think? Personally, are we looking like hypocrites? That's what I'm saying. Tell us, 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Tweet us. Facebook is text us 422-4796. I know we've had quite a few. They come and they go, and they come and they go. Conversations about recycling, and every 5 years it seems like some other things. They come and they go. We need to start a program, a pilot program, and it gets nowhere. We have still to this day no official recycling program. There's no talk about it. The last time we talked about it, people were complaining about how you're going to make my life more difficult. And yeah, your life will be difficult when you're under the sea too. But Does anybody care? It's like that's their problem in the future, right? Because I won't be here. Yeah, we'll let them become mermaids. I don't know. What's going on? You don't see it like that, Don?
Sure. It's I said.
All right, let's see what this caller says. Good morning, caller. You're on Morning Blend. Good morning, caller. Are you there? No?
Hello, good morning. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Hey, Dwight, sorry about that. Yeah, Dwight, what about, I heard you saying about what we have to do, right? But I believe that's a bit cop-out, Dwight. Let me tell you why I say that, right? Because, we need legislation, right? Why are you going to find...
I agree. That's what I'm talking about, too. Yes.
Right?
We and legislation, all of that. Yes.
Yes, sir. Right. Because I really, truly believe if we could have some strong legislation in the areas of renewable and even the cars we drive and even some of the things that are, come into this country, right? Then that could help. That could help force some of the persons what might be lagging along to move along with that program, right? Because people just ain't. I mean, some people could have literally afford it, and that's why so much of them already then move in that area, right? But if the legislation comes in place, then it could possibly cause the prices for these things to come down. Right, and then it could be more affordable because I wish I can afford it. I also wish I was driving an electrical car, but I can't afford it. Right, but if we could bring some legislation in the place, I certainly sure Dwight, it wouldn't be that hard for us to reach as poor Bayman.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you are very right about that. Yes, absolutely great point. That is desperately needed. And so when our leaders, when they go off to come back and do the legislation that will encourage all of us to live like this, and so that we can truly practice what we preach, that will go a long way.
I think what also the caller spoke about is something called green inequality, where you have a lot of people preaching about why you should switch to solar energy, why you should go to wind, why you should do all these things and get an electric car. But the reality is like you said, these things are very expensive. So you find that the persons who actually switch to these things are wealthier persons, not just in the Bahamas, even in the United States. And what ends up happening is communities that can't afford these things can't ever switch off these things. So they just end up consuming the way that they do and paying the prices that they do to consume. And like I said, it creates a situation of green inequality, and it seems like a rich man's problem.
Absolutely.
It's exceptionally complicated in the Bahamas because of our massive amounts of inequality in the country. And it creates a double-edged problem, right? Because on one hand, you want to say it's a great thing if persons who consume a lot can get off the grid and go on solar. But then the next problem you then create is if everybody, who's in a financial position to do so, did so, you may find yourself in a situation where the whole economy of scale thing we had going on with BPL in the country becomes worse. And the share or burden, I should say, of the price of these things then gets spread to fewer and fewer people as the person who essentially check out of the system. So it's complicated. Very complicated.
What a wonderful problem to have. Oh,
I know, right?
I doubt we'll ever be anywhere near that. But yes, that has happened in places. I think Hawaii started to have issues like that as well, or far too many people contributing to the grid, and that was creating some new issues for them. But yeah, one day maybe. Let's take this call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Good morning. Are you there? All right, 323-6232. 325-4316, 325-4259. And back to the previous caller with legislation, and we do need the legislators to be aware of what's happening in the world. I know once they get in that gold-colored vault that separates them from the rest of us, they become very detached, it seems, from the realities. And so I don't know if they're aware, like back to the electric vehicles. I mean, there's a $50,000 cap if you can find which is find something under $50,000, you get it's only a 10% duty, right? And above that, it jumps up to what other vehicles enjoy, as they say, 65%.
Right, because it's 10%, and then you have to add value-added tax on top of that with the cost combined with shipping and all other associated fees. And
that's way better than 65% plus the 12% of that. Way better.
Like 24% extra on a vehicle, because electrical cars aren't cheap. They on average cost at least 10 to 15% more than a gas guzzling alternative.
Although that's going down. That is going down. But here's the problem. All vehicles are more expensive than they were when that was put in place, right? The average transaction price in the U.S. now is $40,000. So when Sentras can cost you $40,000, that cap at $50,000 is not reflective of what's happening in the world today.
You mean $40,000 in the United States? Because
$40,000 in the U.S., right? So that doesn't. We're not talking about duty and VAT.
Those things were always around $40,000 here.
Well, starting for a one seat, 3-wheeled vehicle, yes. But so they're not being reflective of what's going on in the environment, and we need them to be more responsive to this, because you're not helping anybody with that kind of stuff. And that others will complain, right? They've complained about the duties being outrageous on certain things. Batteries, they've always talked about that, and chargers for these appliances or devices that could help you with your environmental footprint. You're right, and so it's double talk. It seems often from the government, But hey, I guess that gets you a lot of attention on the world stage. Oh, look, the leader of that tiny little country is warning that they could be under the sea in a few years if we don't do something. And that, that pulls on the heartstrings of some folks in other parts of the world. Let's take this call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning. How are you guys doing?
Doing well. Good morning.
Yeah, my house is on mostly solar, right?
Oh, wow.
And when I ordered my solar equipment, I got charged custom duties on those things, which was a mistake because, on my part, I didn't specify that it was solar. I just thought it was obvious that these things were solar so I could get the deduction, right? So I complained to the shipping company. They told me all kind of foolishness, but I need a letter from this person and that person, even though it stated solar on the packaging. We Googled the stuff that I bought, and it said solar, all kind of stuff like that. I still never got my deduction, right? Now, I've been using solar since Hurricane Matthew. My light bill, on average, should be like under $30. And read the meter, they estimate, and then they'll give me a high estimation, say $50-something. And then when they actually read the meter, my bill would be like almost zero to make up the difference. Ever since BEC started their program, and they talk about everyone's light bill is going down, mine's tripled.
Oh.
My neighbors who have no solar, light bill is lower than mine.
Oh, my goodness.
And the first time I paid it, because I said, maybe they're going to correct it next time. And next time my light bill came to the exact same thing. The last 3 months in a row, my light bill was the exact identical figure, which is nearly impossible. I don't know what BEC doing on there, but they ain't trying to help nobody.
That's right.
Because I can I have enough batteries to be completely off grid. But I just wanted BEC as backup in case something happened.
Yeah. Have you spoken to anybody there about this?
To get in touch with them, which I couldn't really get any help. I have to go in and do it, but my job doesn't really allow me to leave and go to the work for some crazy foreign people who believe that you ain't supposed to have a life.
Oh, dear. Would you be willing to talk to us in depth, like if we had you back on the show, to talk about your experience and what it's been like and how you did it to go practically all solar? Would you be willing to talk to us in depth?
Well, my situation is a little unique because I'm an electrician by trade, and I taught myself how to do solar.
Well, that'd still be interesting. I don't know. Would you mind leaving your number with the producer, and then we can talk some more, and then see how we can have you, and you might inspire some other people. This is interesting stuff, but I hope that situation with BPL and BEC works out for you. Thank you very much, producer. Let's get his name and number if you don't mind. Thank you very much. Yeah, I know.
I was going to say, I've heard actually very similar stories. Another someone I'm friends with, pretty much just like him, is has had at the time the capability to be 100% off of BPL. Ran into the same problem, and the funny part about it is he literally had BPL come in and put a lock on the switch, I guess. So like the power was off on the building, but they were still charging him for electricity that it was physically impossible for him to use.
Oh wow!
Yes. So he just said, "Get your old meat off my property. I don't want to deal with this no more." And he completely off the grid now. So
something.
I'm not saying that that's what the colony is to do, but I think you should try to see what he can get done and resolve the BPL. They do tend to suck at customer service. And the whole estimation thing is another problem that a lot of people have with BPL. But I think, unfortunately, maybe something that he has to have on the cards. Because if you're ended up paying essentially what you'd be paying more, especially more than your neighbors who don't have solar at all, that is absolutely ridiculous. Sponsorship should ever be happening. So just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
That's really important.
Yeah. And it's so ironic that that's happening to him, and some of our athletes can't get electricity at all, but that's another story, I guess. This is, let's take this call. Good morning, caller. Are you on the air?
Yes, good morning, Ben. Quickly, I'd like to say something. I run a spreadsheet of my, when BEC was BEC, I was running a spreadsheet. Now it's BPL, I'm running a spreadsheet. When there were 3 persons in this house, we were only using 850 kilowatt hours every month. And because of the estimation thing that they do, they just based everything on what was previous. And then when somebody comes out and check, they make a drastic adjustment. But I want to touch on the personal responsibility that we all have as related to this climate change thing. May I?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. In the 1800s, the population was about 1 billion persons on this planet. I think 2020, we jumped to like 8 billion. I mean, where did the 7 billion people came from in 200 years? I think if we could control the rate at which we bring people on this planet versus the rate that persons leave this place, would have a great effect, because I think it's the people who are causing the change in this climate. What do you think? You think it's some other thing other than the people, us? Oil, deforestation, power plants. You think all that's what it is, or is just the need for these things because of the number of persons on the planet?
It's all the people, and the people are building those plants and doing all those things you talked about. So,
in order to satisfy the growing population.
Yeah. Well,
so it really
I don't know what you're suggesting, though. I don't know what you seem to be suggesting. Seems to be a little.
No, do I have to say it?
No, please don't do that.
I won't.
The world will correct itself. The world will correct itself, and it will deal with us and whomever is causing it problems the best way it sees fit. So we don't have to worry either.
Well, you think there's going to be? I agree. The oil can eventually dry up.
Mother Nature or humans will be led to do whatever to themselves that will help to correct the problems.
You really have confidence in that?
It won't be nice.
No.
It won't be nice.
No, it won't be. But
I know
eventually we all will dry up, and then the earth will correct itself, eh?
Yes, indeed.
Thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Oh man, Dwight, when you said that,
people don't like those things. When they talk like that, they don't like that at all.
No, and it kind of reminded me of Lightborn when he did the whole speech.
No, don't go there. But no, don't worry. We don't have to.
I just say, I remember when he made the speech and the outrage that came up out of it. I'm not saying I agree with him. I'm just saying.
No, we don't have.
You're right. People do not like the whole conversation of population control and birth rate controls and stuff like that. So, but you're right. It will actually even itself out, because what tends to happen is countries become more economically advanced, and I don't know. I want to say the standard of living improves, sure, is the birth rate actually plummets. We're seeing that all across the world, even in places that with China, the birth rate's absolutely slowed down, not just because of policies, but now because of economic growth. Persons are making more money. They want to focus more time on their career, and as well as becomes more expensive to have children, the more developed your country becomes, because you got to take time away. It's just a consequence of the way that we practice economics in the world.
Isn't it special? The poorer you are, the more you want to have.
And the more your country gets uplifted out of poverty, the lower. Now, only two things that
no time for that.
The population growth, and you're right, poverty and the war. Those are the two things that just are massive drivers to, and refugees, massive drivers to population growth. But
so between war and Mother Nature, we'll get what's coming to us. We'll get what's coming.
Yeah, and economics.
It's all the same.
Declining populations in Europe, declining population in Canada, the United States slowing down massively population growth. When a person's coming from the south of the border usually, or other immigrants are the ones having predominantly most of the children. White population in the United States has stopped growing. It's basically at a point now where there's just barely replenishing numbers. So it's not the same story it was in the late 1980s, early 1990s, where it was like world population is going to get out of control. We're going to run out of food. No, it's actually some countries have built their tax systems on the expectation that the population will always continue to grow. And now that that's not the case, they got to bring in people to their countries to help make up their numbers for, got to pay pension and thing off. People, a whole generation of persons who build these systems. So just throwing that out there. It's complicated. Depends on where you live.
And potentially some great opportunities for some folks. But you got to be skilled and ready for it, right? So
indeed,
you don't have to be stuck in whatever you're stuck in. Just pay attention to what's going on. All right, let's take this call. Good morning, call. You're on the air.
Yes, sir. Good morning to all.
Hi, good morning.
Yes, I want to address the big news yesterday about the PLP's policy of inviting the Chinese into to invest in every market that we have. Like,
we're going to get to that in our business hour. We're going to get to that in our business hour. We're going to get to that in our business hour. We're talking about
because we need to put some questions to them,
Yeah, that's okay. So come back at 9 o'clock for that one. We're going to get into that in depth in just a couple of hours. All right, let's get to your text messages, and then we got to move on to some other issues in the news this morning. This person says here on our text line, we live in a country where we've got 300 days of sunshine, but we are still getting 100% of our energy from fossil fuels. Well, that's changing. I wouldn't say it's 100, but the goal is, what are they saying? By 2030, is it 20%? 30%. 30 sounds aggressive for them. But anyway, they have some goals that by 2030 we'll have a lot more renewables in use. And we talked with BPL last week about what's going on with the solar plant in Long Island. They're ready to go with that, and they're looking at some other sites for other parts of the country. But as Don mentioned before, it's not cheap. It's very expensive, even for that Ragged Island project. The backup is diesel. Because it's cheaper. This text here, what are they doing about these companies who blast these objects into space and tear the ozone layer open and cause the sun rays to get through to the earth? Now, what now? Does that happen?
Well, no. Right, does
that happen? They tear the ozone layer when they go?
Remember you would have been alive, the late 80s, early 90s. I'm not trying to touch that. I'm just saying, that's when this debate exploded about the ozone layer. Now there's a big hole in the ozone layer. We're all going to die.
And it's greatly improved.
Yeah, it has. Largely, they say
I don't think the rockets do anything to the ozone layer. I'm not sure about
they do, but not enough.
Really? Yeah,
not enough. It's not enough.
Like CFCs were doing. Right? Every child, we were doing classes in the 80s. Can you imagine the whole classes in school on the ozone layer? And don't use this. Tell your parents not to buy this. Tell them to buy the carbon, whatever this, and no CFCs in the cans and the aerosols. I think we did more of that than phonics. But anyway, that's how scared we were. We were terrified then. And these kids today know nothing about that. Isn't that something? That's a sign of progress, but also a sign of how quickly we can lose sight of some of the problems.
Yeah, and everything was about using paper bags instead of this and that. No, getting away from paper bags, wasn't it?
Well, we're trying to save the trees, which would help
Save
with the
the trees.
ozone.
And now
save
we're
the trees to help with the ozone.
murder those trees because we gotta
We got one plastic. Oh my! Human race, nothing but trouble on planet Earth. Oh boy. Okay, this one here. The whole country is a ripoff. Huh? What now? Not only BEC, but water and sewerage also send out high water bills because they mismanage corporation. Well, actually, I don't know about that one. I think water and sewerage is still.
I wouldn't call it a ripoff. I call it a loom sometimes. And we're always the bottom floor, the
Lord.
outside, just joining in on the loom. And it's like, man, one of these days it's going to make sense for us. But, it's never really does.
Wow.
So,
I mean, are you all having issues with water and sewage, though? I mean, I think they are still the most reasonable of the public.
Yeah, I've had issues with water source. Not necessarily the bill, but with the water pressure, man. Like for years, like when it comes to like 12 o'clock midnight, my water pressure just goes. So like, turn the faucet on, nothing comes. I don't know, man. It's weird.
Which area are you in?
A little south.
Yeah,
it's been that way forever, and I can drive within 2 minutes right to the station.
See, this is the folks out east. We used to know about that. We used to know about the rusty water, and that if you didn't shower by 9 p.m., you were done until 5:30 a.m. We used to know about that. And then thank God for that road improvement project and when the water mains were changed.
I think you also need a filtration system because you got to wash your clothes, right? If you have a washing machine in your home. Because the hotter than the detergent, so I don't know what's going on. But anyway.
Well, they put these filters on the water and sewage. They come and change your filters all the time. And that's when they're always flushing. You see that all the time, flushing the...
well, let's hope. Let's hope. Because, sometimes I know. Right?
But most improved corporation award, water and sewage corporation. I don't know what the internal drama is and all the.
Well, before somebody else got there, and then before that whole thing, because you got to give everything away to your peoples.
But they work. They call. It's unlike some of the others when it takes days.
You're right. And let me stop talking about this. One day we have a little connection, and I could get straight to. You see, so let me ask you up to it.
Oh my. A couple more messages on this. For those who are saying BPL's estimations are wrong, you need to understand that the estimation assumes that the past predicts the future, and I suspect electricity usage is correlated to time. If you get solar panels or a change of behavior, their projections will be wrong. Okay, but for how long can you expect that, though? Right? It shouldn't be a year, right? But anyway. Why is it that whenever anyone speaks about Ragged Island, they never mention all the work that was done? Example, the solar plant, the RO plant was that, and a huge complex is almost completed. These things are never mentioned or shown. Well, it depends on who's speaking, I suspect, right? Certain people might not advantage to speak about those things, whereas for others, it might be. So it depends on who's speaking. But you are right, things are happening. Maybe not as fast for some people, but things are happening. All right, another one. After you pay your mortgage or rent or your electricity bill, it's your next most costly bill. Yes. Well, for most people, yes. What do you honestly think they'll do with these people mixed up in the BPL probe? Well, that's a good question. I don't know what's going to come out of that, but hopefully we will know what was in that report soon. Hopefully we'll know soon. All right.
Was it a probe about the boards that was fired?
Yeah. And what led to that? And so.
Okay, yeah. I think that was okay. Yeah. I understand.
Yeah. All right. So well, let's keep that in mind, folks. So I'm saying that while we are out there talking and begging for the rest of the world to change their ways so that we will still be a country that exists in the future, we too have to change our ways. We have to practice what we preach. And if you can't,
the police too. They need to change some things.
We'll get to that in a second. We'll get to that. Yeah. But we have to practice what we preach. And if you cannot practice what you preach because it's too costly, then you have to challenge your legislators to make it easier for you and really, really make them understand that this has to happen. And I don't think we do that. I don't think we do that. I think too many people, when they see these folks, start asking about other things that they want their legislators to do on a very personal level, right? But not collectively. Like, hey, we'll lower the duty on this or lower this on that and deal with this so that we can all be living more efficiently and save this planet. But no, nobody talks like that. So, oh well. Okay, politics. The F&M is in a terrible state, according to former MP Frederick McAlpine. He's been saying that from he was in the House of Assembly. And I remember how he was treated when he would say these things. But he's saying it's as bad now as it's been since 1992, when they first won the government after 20 years in the wilderness. Take a listen to this report from our Jillian Gray.
McAlpine said the fact of the matter is the F&M is at its lowest point, and if they want a chance at being the government again, they'll have to revamp the entire party.
I know we're just there, but the party needs to not only take an introspective view, it needs to be revamped.
After the devastating defeat at the polls, the F&M needs a complete overhaul, according to former Pine Ridge MP Frederick McAlpine, who says it's not just the leadership that needs to change. The former parliamentarian was a strong critic of many of the decisions the previous administration made, vowing to still be a strong advocate for the people. McAlpine says the opposition party has a lot of work to do.
The Free National Movement is at its lowest ebb it's ever been since 1992, once it won the government. And I'll also go a little further and say this. Many good F&Ms have been destroyed and out of the Free National Movement because of the present leadership.
It's no secret that some in the party were not pleased with Dr. Minnis's leadership. 4 of his parliamentarians voted, 3 of them left the party. McAlpine says it's time the party mend relationships.
Practically every third force in this country today came out of the Free National Movement. So if they have any sense of coming back anytime soon, they need to either mend fences, build bridges, go back and get some of these people who are out, get them back home, or they will be in this dilemma for a very long time.
In an emotional farewell speech yesterday, Dr. Minnis apologized for his missteps, stating he's not a perfect man. Minnis vowed to support the opposition any way he can. McAlpine encouraged Dr. Minnis to keep his word not to run again.
I would say this to the former Prime Minister, who has said that he was not running again. I would hope, and he would save himself the embarrassment by falling back on his word. I believe if he falls back on his word, it's good. I think respectfully, the country needs a break from the leadership, the present leadership of the Free National Movement.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jillian Gray.
All right, Jillian Gray there. All right, some interesting things McAlpine saying, about a lot of the third parties out there. Many of the members, the leaders, came from the F&M, and that says a lot. That says a lot. He says they need to invite them back in to the fold to rebuild the party. What do you make of all of this? Do you agree with him, or as has been said before on this show, just sit down in the corner, cross your legs, and wait. Likely in 5 years, you'll be in again. That's all it takes, it seems, as we seesaw our way through life in the Bahamas. This party for 5 years, that party for 5 years. This party for 5 years, that party for 5 years. And,
And what we've learned from the last cycle, all you really need to get in is a pulse. You need
I wonder, do you need a pulse?
Yeah, I think so. As long as you can show that your body's animated and you can at least turn your head or tilt it a bit, you could get it. It's possible.
You could be a robot.
Right party.
You could be a robot. Robots can walk in.
Well, yeah.
Drones can walk in.
Or a lizard person. Anything is possible. Be a reptile.
I think we are just a few years away from our first canine MP. I really do think so.
I would appreciate that. Actually.
I think he or she will do very well. Very well.
Yes.
And wearing the right color, that dog could end up being how we are.
And the dog ain't teeth, and that's the good part. Once you feed it, that's it.
Maybe I wouldn't say that.
I said the dog. I ain't talking.
I know. I mean, I think if someone actually
and they're loyal,
if they
once you treat them right, they can keep coming back. Thing and go try get married, and then he ting to the thing, and okay, I just said dogs.
If there's some kibble in the bin, I think he might be tempted to take it. So
and that's a good problem to have, Dwight.
Oh, okay.
At least it
could be the people food. The people food, though.
And yes, fine. Let him eat all the cocsality he want to eat. Okay. I got no problem with that. As long as there's a situation of, you're supposed to go through cabinet to give out contracts, and then you then say, well, I just gave it to them anyway. It's a 1 point something.
Some of these dogs have been trained very badly. So I don't know. But anyway, the point is,
dog can eat your lunch every day.
Right.
I think most favors would prefer that.
Exactly. But yeah, so what is McAlpine right? They do need to revamp, rebrand, or just sit patiently and wait.
Yeah, I agree with McAlpine in theory that revamping and rebranding is smart, but if we've learned anything, right? I don't want to speak too soon, but you could bring back some extremely unpopular faces into your administration after you win.
And who told you they were unpopular? Who told you they were unpopular?
Oh, you know what? Right.
These people were never unpopular.
Exceptionally controversial.
Right. Questionable and controversial. That's all.
Directly contribute to you losing office as bad as you do.
Oh, that's what you think.
Oh, all right, maybe I'm wrong, Dwight. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe one of the worst parliamentary defeats in Bay history is just with the FNM is just a coincidence. Because it feels that way after they get back in. It's like
I want you to know, and I bet money on this. One of the so-called air quotes controversial names that people are talking about, had they run in this election, they would have won their seat. I'm telling you now.
Maybe you're right. Can't disagree with you on that. Maybe you're absolutely right. But I was going to say the part about just waiting your turn is unfortunately true, which is why I said you just need to have a pulse and be on the right team at the right time.
Yeah,
anything is possible. So,
but there's no doubt. There's no doubt that McAlpine is right. He is right about this, and we need to have a clearer idea of the identities of these parties and what they stand for. And
we don't.
Yeah.
No,
we don't, but it would be better for all of us going forward if we really knew what this is, because people are just saying anything to get in, and they don't back it up when they get in. Right? So it's not like they stand by any of these things. We got fed a million promises under the previous administration, and we played some of that for you yesterday. And I think of that whole list, I think they did one of those things they promised. And they'll say anything, and it doesn't mean anything at all. And this is a problem. But if this were a part of who you are, your identity, that this is what we stand for, and this is what we're going to work for, I think some people at least could get behind that and really say, yeah, this is an organization I can believe in. But we can't say that right now.
Yeah, I've never lived in the Bahamas.
Right.
I've never lived in the Bahamas, Dwight, where I could ever say, yeah, I really understand. This party is really all about what they say they are.
Exactly. No, it's been a long time since we've seen that in this country. A long
kudos to y'all who was early piddling years, and was alive to see that. But I never see it. I don't know what that looked like. If you ask any young Bahamian, it'll all tell you the exact same story. It's just like, this still make no sense. I won't get out of this. All of them is the same. And it isn't that people just say that because they're making generalizations. It's simply because it's the truth. And I think McAlpine talked about this before, is they can make all these promises in the world, but your quality of life has been getting worse, right? Things have not been improving in the Bahamas. Generally for the poorest among us, and a lot of young people, because youth unemployment, that's been high for quite some time, and it's one of the most discouraging factors that contributes to our brain drain. So the persons that do get the opportunity to get out of the country, they get out as fast as they possibly can, and that's not very good for building up this country for capacity or even showing that we're making space for anything. So, it's just a plethora of problems. And it seems if every time the party changes, all it is just a change in color, a couple of faces, a couple of board appointments, and then the standard of living continues to slip. Things still continue to get more expensive for the average behavior, but everything get more expensive. And then the taxes go up on things. And then it's more expensive to buy a car. So you buy a used car. So what most people end up doing is finding ways to survive rather than finding ways to thrive. It's something that hurts me because when I look at some friends I have who live in the States, it's like our goals, some of them are federal loans and debt, but it's like our goals and things in the short term are entirely different because theirs is like building up for a future. And when I look at myself and a lot of people that I know, it's like, how am I surviving until next month? So I don't know, Dwight. I see a completely different reality, probably because of the position I'm in. And it's not a very promising one. So when I see the political parties get up on stage and say anything, I'm just like, yeah, whatever. At the end of the day, the majority of us, financial situation ain't changing.
That's very sad. Very sad. Let's take these calls quickly. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Hi, good morning.
Good morning. Hello?
Hi, yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Good morning, Dwight. Good morning, Dawn. I agree with Frederick Malcolm to a certain extent, but I agree with you and Dawn also. I think, Dwight, this country ain't moving forward at all. The F&M will be wrong. They will catch themselves. But at the same time, you have to have persons, as you and Dawn was saying earlier, who committed to the Bahamas, not to themselves in their pocket and their friends. Look at the leader right now in the country, the Prime Minister today. You think now, Dwight and Dawn, in our lifetime, we should see Shane Gibson getting appointed to a board, Mother Pratt, and we have young, educated persons that would have qualified enough to go in these boards and these positions. And as Dawn said, with the money situation and the higher unemployment, educated persons go to Canada or the U.S. to make some money. And you bring back these old persons, and it's a new day. You think that's fair? Do you think we've ever moved forward in this country? And if they keep on bringing the old regime back, this country will never move forward. You putting the same money you could cycle into the economy, you cycle it back in your friend's pocket. That's what I have to say this morning. Have a good one.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Okay. I think we have another call. Is that another call there? No? Okay. Let's get to your text messages on this. Tell one and done McAlpine, please be quiet. Why? But what's the issue? You don't want to hear the truth? No? Okay. Okay. Well, there you go.
Why people so mad at McAlpine? I was always confused about that. Why? What was the reason for so many persuasions? But I'm just asking. I don't get why some people are upset at McAlpine, even when he was in office.
Some of them don't even get why. They don't know. Another one. Once the F&M don't bring him back. Who's the him? McAlpine you're talking about? Oh, my. Okay. He was very close. He almost won his seat. Very close as an independent. Right?
Yep.
Another one here. McAlpine and Chipman did the PLP's dirty work in Parliament. Oh, boy. But where are they now? Those same PLPs that cheered them on didn't see it fit to re-elect them now that they're on the outside looking in. You think they did the PLP's dirty work? They were speaking for the people who were concerned about the direction. They were concerned about the direction the party was taking or the government was taking at the time. That's the PLP's dirty work?
Anybody who spoke out against the last administration within it.
Yes.
So you can say that about people like Vaughn Milling. You can say that about Travis Robinson at times, right? Even though, so anybody who disagreed with that case.
Well, that's what they did.
Oh, come on, man!
Talk show hosts who are
then that's not democracy. Then
everybody
who's
opposed. Yeah, well, there you go, Don. Okay, but they say that about everybody. If you don't agree with everything, you are opposed to us, and you must be one of them.
Said small to the name, golly.
Well,
one leader.
One indeed. Dwight, do some of these people understand it's hard to bring back the F&M as long as Minnis is still there? Well, he's going to be gone. It's only a few days now. Just a few days. It's fine. It's fine. As long as he's still there.
They're making him sound like a rash. They're just making everything red, itchy, and just, you can't do anything. That's a different kind of burning going on. And they just try to say, I don't know. It's right.
A rash is mild. They're making it sound like
Like that's chinch.
Something much worse. Okay. Anyway, they're saying even with him being an MP, Minnis he hurt lots of people. His name is a bad taste in people's mouths, and God, Minnis is gone. Wow. Okay. Let's not kid ourselves.
I'm very disappointed. I am very disappointed in Minnis. It was even if hypothetically he didn't accomplish anything else other than his legislative agenda, things that he'd been talking about. I actually found interviews with him from 2012 where he was talking about term limits and all his other pieces on his legislative agenda. And it's like the fact that he accomplished essentially none of those things just boggles my mind and which makes him an extreme disappointment. Even if he just did those things, I think history would have judged him in the long run differently than it will now.
He did grave damage. Grave damage to his legacy. It was ridiculous. I don't know who advised him about this early election. That was a silly thing. And people were saying that so long. Don't do this. That doesn't make sense. What are you running on? What are you running on? You had 8 months to put those things in place. He had 8 months to secure what looks like it'll never happen now with the Prospect Ridge development. All those little things, the term latitude, come on. You could have done it. You could have set the path forward and protected that legacy. But now it won't be kind. It won't be kind. Maybe in 100 years, people will look back and say, well, I don't know. Let's take a break. When we come back, more of what's making news. We'll talk about the police. What's going on with the police? How could you put a man in a cell with a woman, and then that poor woman is indecently assaulted? Huh? And then knocking out people's teeth for no reason. What's happening?
What are we doing, Sporty?
Wow. This is Morning Blend on a Tuesday morning here on Guardian Radio 96.9. Stay with us.
Mona Lisa, they say she lives brazen, but that ain't nothing. She's short and sexy, got all them fellas crazy, even if you're ugly, cause I am lazy. Oh, Teresa looking good, hey, she's got them boys behaving rude, hey, just to see she whine, hey, her body looks so fine. When the bands are playing, she hold on to them table just to get comfortable. Start whining, boogie moving, everything working, that body vibrating.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Time for your first look at traffic for this morning, brought to you by RBC Royal Bank. In your real-time traffic, as usual, Mile Butler Highway, your hot spot this morning. Heavy traffic from the Fire Trail Road roundabout all the way up to Tawny Williams Darling Highway. And traffic is backed up south of that roundabout and as well eastbound to that roundabout with Mile Butler Highway. All the way up, as we said, to Tawny Williams Darling Highway. Gladstone looking a little bit better for you, but still heavy traffic about midway between Fire Trail and JFK Drive. Carmichael Road eastbound, building traffic there to Blue Hill Road. And Blue Hill Road seeing the heavy traffic as usual just north of Soldier Road in those northbound lanes heading toward that roundabout with Independence Drive. Independence Drive westbound to that roundabout also busy this morning. The major intersections with East Street looking busy for you. So that's East Street and Soldier Road, East Street and the roundabout at Independence Drive and East West Highway, and East Street northbound up to Robinson Road. That is a busy intersection for you, backed up westbound on Robinson and north on East Street. Further east, we've got the intersections along Prince Charles Robinson Road. So Prince Charles and Fox Hill Road looking busy. Prince Charles and Beatrice Avenue. Prince Charles and Soldier and Robinson. And then Robinson and East West High. So keep that in mind this morning. Building traffic on Marathon northbound and portions, actually southbound as well, on Marathon at some point just south of the Wolf Road roundabout. And that intersection, Wolf, Bernard, Village, and Soldier has been looking busy the last few days. That's also busy this hour. Bernard, there's some schools in the area, so westbound on Bernard Road, looking like a hot spot for you. So a lot already this hour. We're expecting to get even busier for you. So we'll have an update after the 8 o'clock news. That's your Morning Blend Traffic Alert, brought to you by RBC Royal Bank, banking reimagined. And time for another check of your weather for today. We've got a prefrontal trough and residual moisture that's going to support it. A few showers today, while an eastward moving cold front north of the Bahamas will promote winds across the northwest Bahamas. For today for the northwest Bahamas, your forecast calls for variably cloudy and breezy conditions with isolated showers and the chance of isolated thunderstorms mainly near the prefrontal trough through tonight. Small craft caution remains in effect for boaters. For the central southeast Bahamas, cloudy with the chance of isolated showers through tonight. Temperature-wise, today, look for highs getting up to around 88 Fahrenheit, 31 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to 75 Fahrenheit, 24 Celsius. In your extended outlook, a drier westerly wind pattern will persist across the country ahead of a cold front expected to move over or near the northwest Bahamas by late Thursday or early Friday. That's going to come in just in time for Halloween and cool things down quite a bit, leading into the start of next week. In the meantime, for tomorrow, Wednesday, look for partly to mostly sunny and mild conditions with a chance of a few isolated showers. Thursday, cloudy to occasionally overcast, a bit breezy with a slight chance of an isolated thunderstorm, mainly in the extreme northwest Bahamas. In the tropics, we've got a deepening non-tropical low-pressure system with gale-force winds located about 100 miles southeast of Cape Hatteras. In the Carolinas, the system has a 50% chance of tropical cyclone formation through the next 5 days. That's your Morning Blend weather check. We'll be back with more Morning Blend after these messages here on Guardian Radio 96.9.
Best rate, no delay. Best rate, no delay.
BTC gives more savings on the best fiber internet. It's super fast with super savings in every package. Compare and see for yourself. Enjoy up to 150 megabits per second plus 157 TV channels and unlimited home phone minutes for only $99.99.
Best rate, no delay.
Visit a BTC store and experience on the Bahamas' best fiber network. Conditions apply.
Unlock your home potential with a home equity loan from RBC and let your greatest asset fund your home improvement and personal projects. Switch your mortgage to RBC today and experience the difference with no management fees, cash back on closing costs, and step-by-step guidance from our team of expert mobile mortgage finance specialists. Learn more at rbc.com/Caribbean/equity loan. Reimagine new ways to bank better with RBC.
Technology serves to make our lives better, so why not your business too? At Custom Computers, we've been maintaining our knowledge and relationships with top tech companies since 1987 and carry only the most trusted brands like Apple, Microsoft, HP, and more. No company has helped more businesses build reliable IT systems than Custom Computers. You name it, we've done it. Call 396 for business experts. Find trust in your tech. Count on Custom Computers.
People helping people to help themselves. All right, watch this. The credit union of the Bahamas, drop card ain't got nothing on them. There's the plug. People helping people to help themselves. Don't believe me? Join the credit union and watch your money grow like Chef and Needle. Credit unions are smarter choice. Higher rates on your savings. Yeah, go join one. Credit unions are smarter choice. More money you make. More what? Stop that. Credit unions are smarter choice. Higher rates on your savings. Let me get my money there. Credit unions are smarter choice. More money you make. Join a credit union. Watch your savings grow with higher interest rates. Become a member and purchase some shares. Then ownership is coming your way. They offer local banking members the owner. Personalized service. Come and join the credit union and your choice will be unions are the smarter choice. Higher rates on your savings.
We are working to protect our country, our people, and our livelihoods so that we can move forward. The vaccine is safe. The vaccine is easy. The vaccine is essential for our recovery. If we want to rebuild our economy, if we want to get back to our jobs, if we want to get back to our lives, our families, we must do this together.
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Every time you come around, you know I can't say no. It goes down, I let you take control. I can feel the paradise before my world implodes. And tonight had something wonderful. My bad habits lead to late nights, sitting alone, conversations with a stranger I barely know, swearing this will be the last, but it probably won't. I got nothing left to lose or use or do. My bad habits lead to white eyes staring into space, and I know I lose control of the things that I say. Yeah, I was looking for a way out, now I can't escape. Nothing happens after two. It's true, it's true. My bad habits lead to you.
And we are back here with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Dawn Sargent. And changing gears now, we're going to talk about what's happening with the police. This is some, in the past couple of days, some very disturbing stories. We told you yesterday about the man who had his teeth knocked out by an off-duty police officer over something that is not making any sense. And the unusual, it's just been very strange what came out of that. We're going to get into that a little bit deeper. That man is speaking out, the victim in that matter, who's been awarded some money by the courts. Get to that. But now there's another story in today's Nassau Guardian. The headline, Vagrant admits that he indecently assaulted woman in police cell. RRTZ Davis writing about this. A 32-year-old vagrant admitted to the indecent assault of a woman at the East Street South police station of no fixed address. Sexually assaulted the 25-year-old woman while they shared a cell at the station on October 21st. The woman was detained on a traffic warrant, and police arrested Bodie after he allegedly threatened to kill his father. Traffic warrant, threatening to kill somebody, put them in the same cell. Who cares about the gender? Yeah. It's unclear why they were placed in the same cell. Bodie pleaded guilty to the indecent assault charge at his arraignment before Magistrate Kendra Kelly. The magistrate remanded Bodie to the Bahamas Department of Correctional Services for psychiatric assessment to determine his fitness to plead. He's scheduled to make his next court appearance on December 14th. Yeah. This is crazy. So now that's what our Nassau Guardian is saying. Bahamas Court News goes into a little more detail about what he did. We're told Bodie masturbated and threatened to rape the terrified woman and give her AIDS. Okay. Let's talk about this. What's going on here? What is happening?
But this situation or the police force in general?
Yeah, everything.
I'm going to be honest, Dwight. I'm not going to incriminate myself. I was going to say that I think more should happen to that guy. But anyway, I'm not going to wish anything. Let's let the legal system take its due course. No need for vigilante anything. But I wanted to say I'm not surprised, unfortunately, that something like this could have happened. Lest we forget, Dwight, I think it was, 2 or 3 years ago in Eleuthera, we had an incident where several persons were tortured by the police. They themselves, I think, eventually took this to court. Whether or not what happened with it, I haven't been following up. But then like hot sauce being poured into eyes and all those sorts of things to get a confession. It turns out they weren't even the right people being discussed. The numerous incidences of persons going to court, several of which the now Minister of National Security has represented, or his firm has represented in court, have said they've been beaten repeatedly while being detained by police. Some said they've been beaten into confession. And it's not just only him. Several lawyers have, it's on public record in court, have said this. It's been written down and said that their clients have been beaten. I think we even had an incident of a young man who showed the evidence that he was beaten in custody. We've had incidents where police officers drank on the job and recorded themselves doing so. I think that they were demoted, gun-butted people, punched people in the mouth. The incident of a young man who got his teeth knocked out. We've had incidences where police officers were intoxicated at parties, pulled out their guns and waved around in the air. I had a friend who had a police officer pull a gun on him as the officer was drunk. I was under the impression that he was, as I quote, dancing with his girl. And something very similar to that happened to the young man and his girlfriend, who got awarded over $80,000 to try and cover some of the damage. Something very similar happened to a friend of mine. So I'm not surprised by any of these things that I hear. And I saw the outrage all over social media yesterday when the news broke of this, Dwight, and persons saying, how is it that these things could still keep happening?
Yeah.
And the commissioner of the day, commissioner of the police of the day, always says the exact same thing. We're going to launch an investigation. And barely anything, if anything at all, comes of it. Again, I'm going to bring this up, and I always do, even the case with Shane Gibson when he was in court. And he's been writing letters to the commissioner for over a year now, where an officer of the law changed a witness testimony to corroborate with charges and admitted to this in a court of law.
Yeah.
That is terrifying. Right?
Yeah, it is terrifying. And remember what the previous commissioner said, right? That these police officers are coming from us, right? And Little Tungi or whatever.
You got it. It's fine.
Grows up to be this monster.
Yeah. And then we had the whole "it is what it is" comments about things too, right? But fine. Sure that they come from the community. But at the same time, right? If you have a situation where, even in a school system, where students, a handful of students do something, or one or two students do something, they get into a fight, someone brings a gun to school, there's a stabbing incident on campus, whatever, these things happen all the time, right? And then the reaction of the institution, we should give him a demerit and then put him back in classes again. And then other students see
or
that.
Not even.
Or not even, you're right.
Go home and come back tomorrow and be better.
Exactly.
That's essentially what the police force here does.
And what it signals to the others who are within that institution is, oh, I can do this and get away with it. And then you see the behavior spreads like a virus throughout it, because there's no. And the thing is, I always thought that the police force kind of functioned like an armed force, like an army would, right? And there's supposed to be disciplinary action, and you can be discharged, dishonorably discharged. I know they say no in the United States, that's the thing, or discharged with prejudice. But like here, I'm not saying it is this, but the public perception of this is there are no standards. The public perception is nothing comes out of this. They're a protected class, and there seems to be limited, if any, consequences.
Yeah.
Because these things happen so frequently, and so much of nothing comes out of it.
Got to go to the news. Want to hear from you on this. Be ready to call in and text us what you think about this situation. Why would they put this man, who clearly has some problems, in the cell with this woman? Why would they do this? And we'll hear from that victim who got his teeth knocked out as well. That's coming up. Stay tuned. We're back after the news. Back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We are streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Flow Channel 612. You can tweet us at Morning Blend 969 or Facebook.com/Morning Blend 969. Text us 422-4796. And now day 20, time for another check of your weather for today, brought to you by Bahamas First Insurance. Here's what's happening as you get ready for some changes on the way. We've got a prefrontal trough, and residual moisture will support the chance of a few showers today. Meanwhile, an eastward moving cold front north of the Bahamas will promote moderate to locally strong winds across the northwestern islands. For the Northwest Bahamas today, forecast calls for variably cloudy and breezy conditions with isolated showers and the chance of isolated thunderstorms, mainly near the prefrontal trough through tonight. Small craft caution is in effect for boaters. For the central and southeast Bahamas, cloudy with the chance of isolated showers through tonight. Boaters should be alert for the risk of waterspout activity, and there is a risk of rip currents along West Coast beaches. Today, look for highs getting up to around 88 Fahrenheit, 31 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to 75 Fahrenheit, 24 Celsius. In your extended outlook, a drier westerly wind pattern will persist across the islands ahead of a cold front expected to move over or be near the Northwest Bahamas by late Thursday or early Friday. Before that gets here, though, for tomorrow, Wednesday, look for partly to mostly sunny and mild conditions with a chance of a few isolated showers. Thursday, cloudy to occasionally overcast. A bit breezy with the chance of a few isolated showers and the chance of isolated thunderstorms, mainly in the extreme Northwest Bahamas. That cold front is expected to bring some major changes for the weekend, just in time for Halloween and the start of November next week. In the tropics, we've got a deepening non-tropical low-pressure system with gale-force winds about 100 miles southeast of Cape Hatteras in the Carolinas. The system has about 50% days. That's your morning blend weather check, brought to you by Bahamas First Insurance. What's first for you comes first for us. And at 8:22, time for another check of your traffic for this morning, brought to you by RBC Royal Bank. In your real-time traffic, we've got a lot that we're dealing with this morning out on the streets of New Providence. Let's go from east to west this morning. So from Eastern Road, you're going to be seeing that traffic westbound just before you get to Fox Hill Road, especially west of Fox Road is going to be busy, but we'll clear up a bit by the time you get past Johnson Road heading to Montague. Prince Charles Drive is going to be the usual, so busy at the major intersections, and especially closer to the road, and then further up near Beatrice Avenue and Soldier Road, and then Robinson Road and Old Trail, and Robinson and East-West Highway and Marathon Road. Marathon Road northbound, there's building traffic, and Bernard Road, very busy for you westbound mainly, especially near the schools in the area this morning. Then, as we get nearer to the center of the island, we've got the usual issues at East Street, and so East Street and Robinson, but especially south of the Independence Drive East-West Highway roundabout, mainly the northbound lanes of East Street there, and East Street and Soldier, and further down, East Street and Bamboo Boulevard and Zion Boulevard. Over in Blue Hill Road, as usual, heavy traffic north of Soldier Road, northbound to Independence Drive. And Independence Drive is messy for you westbound to that roundabout. You might want to find an alternate route, perhaps Robinson Road, perhaps Soldier Road if you can get there. And Blue Hill Road is busy further south, especially near Zion Boulevard and near St. Vincent Road and Carmichael Road. Then we've got Milo Butler Highway, heavy traffic, well south of the roundabout this morning. If you're heading northbound, the roundabout with Fire Trail. So that's northbound to Tawny Blooms Darling Highway, very busy for you. And Fire Trail is backed up on eastbound lanes to that roundabout with Milo Butler Highway. Glaston Road also busy from north, from Fire Trail up to JFK Drive. Not looking pretty there either for you this morning. And there's building traffic on Carmichael Road westbound to Coral Harbor Road. So a lot that you're dealing with. You're really going to need your patience this morning. That's your real-time traffic and your Morning Blend Traffic Alert, brought to you by RBC Royal Bank, banking reimagined.
This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news, intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversation. 96.
Hey, 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 hey. I can't keep it together. I usually don't show my emotions, but it ain't getting better, 'cause you can't be blind with eyes wide open. And I see struggle I see pain, I see only the mess we made. I see things that I can't change, and it hurts my heart to say. I cry for the sons without fathers, and the pain that the mothers hold deep inside. And I'll fight the trouble making. You can change if we face it, 'cause these tears won't dry. So I cry.
We're back here with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio. Dwight Strachan along with Don Sargent this morning. We are talking about what's in the news, talking about the situation with the police, trying to figure out what is happening here. We've got this story of a woman who was being held on a traffic warrant in a cell, and the police put a man in the cell with her. And this man indecently assaults this woman. And we're told in another story that after she was screaming, they finally come. Ah, boy. All right. We're getting your reaction. So the reaction is strong. You can call in and text us and tweet us and Facebook us as well. Call us 232-325-4316, 325-4259. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us 422-4796. Here's a text here. From Bible times, I have never heard of a man being placed in a cell or jail with a woman. Some people need to be fired over this. This is very odd. Very odd. Another one we mentioned earlier, where the previous commissioner said about how these people are coming from us. And I've got another strong reaction from that. Someone says, bull excrement. Oh, boy. If they're saying that these people come from us and they are incapable of finding good Bahamian, then we need to go back to the Bahamas of the 1930s and import officers from Trinidad or Jamaica or wherever. Since we are so full of wicked people, well, we can't have proper law enforcement. Well, I don't know if there's any, everybody's like that. They're saying they're bad apples, but the country is cranking them out.
I agree with that texter.
You agree with that one? Yeah?
I agree.
Should we send ours over there? Maybe we can do a trade.
Sure. I think cross-training would be great, but at the same time, more so than just the trading is when things happen, you ever watch Blood Diamond, Dwight? The movie?
I did, yes.
You remember your Call the Part movie where someone was trying to steal a diamond and the guy holds his hand and says long sleeve, short sleeve with a cutlass? I ain't saying you cut nobody's hand off, but proverbially, there needs to be consequences for your actions. And if it's a situation you punch in somebody in the mouth, this ain't the first, second, third, fourth, or fifth time this has happened. Knock somebody teeth out, pull a gun on somebody, all sorts of things happen. This happens, and then what then results is you, like I said, forging a witness testimony in court to corroborate charges, and then allegedly, nothing happens to you. Maybe get a promotion afterwards, like business as usual. It's not signaling anything positive to other bad apples in the force or the public. Mm-hmm. And all it does is continue to erode trust in institutions of the police force. Yeah. And if these commissioners are saying, well, they come from y'all, well, then I have to agree with the text. Then maybe we need to stop behind Main Street police officers. Obviously, because what that is saying then, Dwight, is we too stupid and corrupt to do anything proper and anything right. Maybe that's why we have this obsession with all things foreign, because our leaders then believe we don't have it in us to do any of these things. So if that's the case, man, import them. I prefer what we're doing right now.
Wow. Again, this is not everybody. We know that. We know there's some really great officers. There are some horrible ones.
Tarnished.
Horrible ones as well.
They are tarnished by those who do horrible things.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, because all of it is public perception, and they represent an institution, not just individuals.
Yeah.
And I think the institution is massively disservice by keeping rotten animals, not even apples, animals on the force who are doing these things.
Yikes. All right, we'll get to that call in a second. Let me just read this text now. This one says, this is unacceptable. Why were the opposite sex in the same jail cell? Police brutality, unacceptable. Corruption and miscarriage of justice. The police force has gone on for far too long. When will the law be levied against these officers? And This another one here. Low-level intelligence and criminals are now police officers. They have no morals or standards. They promote the corrupt officers. This is in speculation. Promotion for sexual favors, families, and those that are corrupt. Yikes, yikes, yikes. Whoa. Okay. We'll get back to the text messages in a bit. Let's go to this call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Dwight, and your co-host.
Hi. Good morning.
Now, when the organization running bad, it's called the culture. It's the head. Head having every organization is running bad. Because the culture, he's allowing things to go on his watch. And because like I saw a video where the police cut somebody CCTV camera. That is damaging private property. Then they take the DVR. That is stealing. I saw a police officer in the States take somebody's cell phone. He was fired on the spot. The next day, he was put before the court for stealing. We need to put officers under. We put them under. Did they do to us? We do to them. Assault is assault. If you punch my teeth out, you assault me. You will be fired and put before the courts. Easy as that. We need to wrap out the culture of abuse to police abusing people, because the head has to go, and then he has to. And the new commissioner come late at night to your station, make them accountable. Send your deputy commissioner any time of the night to do spot checks. You keep them on the run.
At the stations.
That they're not under the watch. Beat you when they feel like, do they feel like, because it's like a giant culture. They protect themselves.
Scary.
I don't know how we're going to do it. We've got to fire people, fire, and charge them. And they learn how to treat when they call you. They call you, come with the car. They don't say, sir, ma'am, shut at you, curse at you. Nothing happens. But we need to start and tape them. Walk around with tapes or press record on your cell phone and tape them. Maybe what happened to the officer who beat the boy in the station and he was taped? He was allowed to go home. He slapped the boys. He's so and so.
Yeah, we got to get more aggressive. Absolutely. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Some good recommendations there. Let's take another call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Ty, let's take that other one. Good morning. You're on the air. Hi, we can hear you.
Hello, Dwight.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning. How you doing?
Doing well. Good morning.
Okay, good. And good morning, Dawn. Good morning to the nation. You can hear me clearly, Dwight?
Yes, we can. Yes, we
okay,
can.
great. Wanted to comment on this matter involving the police, Dwight. Listening to your various conversations, but this one stood out to me. Look, man, these things should not be made personal, because when they are made personal, you have all kinds of varying levels of thoughts and degrees of thoughts that can creep in. The bottom line is there should be a disciplinary action taken when things don't go the way they are supposed to. And that should be across the board for everyone, from the lowest rank of officers up to the highest rank, being the commissioner. Anyone who fails to execute their duty should be held to the standard that exists. Now, that standard should be revised. Clearly, we have right now, as the Minister of National Security, a minister who is prepared to take the necessary action. I heard him on the news the other day, right? And I personally appreciated him stating this. He's stating that anyone who has any level of interaction with the police should record it and should be permitted to record, because after all, that is a part of the protocol that currently exists with body cams. Okay, we need these body cams to be brought out into full alignment. Okay, we need all of the body cams to come on stream. We need all of those camcorders in the vehicles to come on stream. We need this level of accountability and transparency to be right across the board at the Royal Bahamas Police Force, and with every rank and file. And so I say that to make this simple point. It is completely unacceptable by any standard, any stretch of the imagination, for a female to be placed in a cell with a male. I mean, at public restrooms, we have separate restrooms. Can you imagine My goodness, what if something worse had happened to the female? No matter what her situation was, no matter what she would have been brought in there for, it should not happen. And because it happened and the individual was assaulted, the necessary action needs to take suit. Now, I can understand they may have been seeking to hold off until the trial was completed to make that determination. Well, whatever the situation is, the determination has been concluded. And so we need to see the ensuing action take place. And that needs to happen right across the board at the Royal Bahamas Police Force. Otherwise, there's going to be a breakdown in trust. And if the Bahamian people don't trust the Royal Bahamas Police Force, or if the Bahamian people see that all police force are permitted to get away with corruption and misbehavior, they're not going to be inclined to work with the police force in order to help them to reduce crime or to solve crimes.
And that's already happening. People already have been feeling that way. It's been going on. It's been happening. But yeah, we haven't heard yet what the consequences will be for the officers. I guess this is early yet, but we will see. We will see. But we're tired of the we're investigating. We're investigating, and what comes out of these things.
I think it's time, Dwight, perhaps to start, not even to start the conversation, but I dare say I think it's time for us to have a body that has jurisdiction over even the police, like how the FBI in the United States has jurisdiction over counties and states. If they need to run an investigation.
Well, depending on the crimes. Yeah.
Pardon?
Depends on the crimes. Yeah.
Yeah, it does depend on the crime. There's instances with instances of police brutality that led to the FBI in the United States getting involved and start investigating some police. Some precincts, which then led to some prosecutions, or in some cases, some advisories for reforms to take place, which I think has happened in several counties and states. So perhaps we should be considering, I don't know, I know we have supposed to have an integrity commissioner at some point, or maybe we need to have an NBI, a National Bureau of Investigation for the Bahamas.
Mm-hmm.
Something, Dwight. Because I'm just saying, from a public perspective, because that's what I'm speaking of as a member of the public right now, put my public hat on.
Yeah.
It's the same as if, not even the same as, quite literally is, Dwight, you did something wrong. And then you look at the public and tell me and everybody else, okay, I'm going to investigate myself.
Yes.
And I'm going to let you know what comes out of this.
That's almost everything in the Bahamas is like that.
Yeah.
All right. I want to get to what the guy who had his teeth knocked out has to say. Let's take this call and then we'll get to that piece. Good morning,
Dwight and Dawn. How are you guys this morning?
Doing well. Good morning.
I think Dawn has hit the nail right on the head on that point with having an external body to deal with the police. Because it's virtually impossible for a criminal to investigate a criminal or a criminal to stand before another criminal and expect a different result. I want to speak to the case that you're going to talk to the guy who got his teeth knocked out.
Mm-hmm.
Me personally, as a Bahamian, $82,000+ of our dollars are being spent to compensate the young man, and I think he deserves more. And I understood, based on alleged information, that the officer was only deducted 7 days' pay. Now, see, unless we put penalties that are hard and fast on these policemen, they would continue to do the same thing and get away with it. And I don't know if it's Dawn or one of your callers mentioned, it starts at the top. So the commissioner has to take a hard stand on saying to these officers, if you guys are found to be out of order or contravention of the law, you will be dismissed, you will be suspended for a certain amount of time, or you will be made to pay the recourse of whatever action the court hands out. So I think we definitely need changes. I also want to make mention of, there was another alleged thing where a young man and a lady were beaten by the police because the police didn't give the police their phone. To me, that's being disrespectful to the new minister. The new minister himself said on national TV and radio that the police does not have the right to take my instrument or my recording device. In fact, he said record, as Anton said, and I agree totally with Anton as well. And so something definitely needs to be done. And I was listening to a show yesterday with former Deputy Commissioner Mason on, and he said training, training. Our police force definitely needs to be retrained. Dwight, this is what I want you to put on that agenda to discuss for the government, that list I told you about putting together. I heard and I've seen a list circulating with a number of boards, but I don't see no National Resources Board on there. So let's put that for discussion. I think we should have a National Resources Board so we can begin to see how. But I also need you to, when you speak with the guy at the embassy, because there are conflicting reports coming out. I just heard one of your news reporters said that to travel to the U.S., you need to have a COVID test. But what I pulled down on the CDC site, it said you have to be vaccinated and you must show your vaccination status. So I don't know if you still have to show your vaccination status and also show a COVID test. I don't see anything but a COVID test there. Allow me to speak to two more. Two more. The BPL, you had a caller calling earlier who said he has a solar system, and his bill did not change. Well, I had the same issue. I got solar in 2018. My bill dropped 24%, and since they implemented this new thing saying my bill should go down, my bill increased back by 35%.
Wow.
And the final issue I want to speak to, Dwight, is this new day. The new day was the new day, I think the theme for the PLT. Dwight, every day is a new day. And yet still you have some people do the same thing they did yesterday, they did for the new day, which is a new day today. So what I see happening, even as I look at people saying you have different, you're bringing back the same old. One, I believe the government is bringing back those individuals for the experience, along with additional policing, because I saw, like I said, listening on the board, there are some old people, but I see a lot of new policing who were never on board, which is a good thing. So you definitely would need that experience on the board. And I also want to speak to this issue with Mr. Shane Gibson.
Well,
Dwight,
okay,
if I was dragged before the court and found to be innocent, and I'm offered an opportunity to make my contribution to the Bahamian society, what should stop me from doing so? So what is different if Mr. Gibson was dragged before the court and found innocent? Tell me who in the Bahamas, or which criteria we have in our Constitution, Gibson cannot serve on another board, or anyone for that matter. And so we as Bahamians have to start putting ourselves in these persons' shoes and say, if it was me, what would I want for me? So I cannot judge anyone. The court said I'm innocent, and so if they're going to put me there for the experience, then I go with it. Shane Gibson is a man who was employed at BDC, and as a former BDC employee, I endorse Shane Gibson 100% because he has all the knowledge of BDC. In addition to that, Shane Gibson degrees is in IT. So he knows BTC. He knows the system that is going on.
Well, it's been a long time since he was there, though. It's been a long time. It's been a long time since he was there. A lot of things have changed.
No,
and sometimes,
like I said,
sometimes it can be too close to the situation.
No, see, a lot of things have changed at BTC. Since I left, I've been going now 10 years. But guess what? The system haven't changed, Dwight. All they did was improve on the system. In fact, the newcomer that we have in BTC now brought a worse system than we had. That is why you're having so much drop calls. The system that we had back then is way better, even though there's improvement. It is better. It was better. And I'm telling you from experience as a technician, our system now that we have in place at BDC is worse than what we had there when these guys took over.
Okay. All right.
All righty. Thank you for taking
Thanks a
my
lot.
call.
That was a lot this morning, but thank you very much. Appreciate it.
One thing,
All right.
maybe we shouldn't have sold it. We shouldn't have sold BTC, as some would say.
I don't know. Okay, sure.
And he's on the dollar.
You all have some different memories, but that's okay. We're entitled to have our memories be different. That's fine. But that list is going around. We don't know how authentic that is, but we'll find out soon enough. Everybody's getting ahead of themselves, but we'll find out soon enough. All right, so let's do this really quickly. I want to let you all hear what the victim in that case with the police had to say. Take a listen to this report from me.
Another claim of police brutality has resulted in the Royal Bahamas Police Force now having to pay a man more than $80,000 after he lost 9 teeth due to being punched in the mouth by a police officer.
I feel bad, especially when you get a gun pulled on you. You can't never forget that. And when you see him, I can't never forget him.
We've blurred his face at his request, but it's an experienced 34-year-old Pedro Morley says he will never forget having a gun pulled on him and teeth punched out by a man he now knows was a police officer. It happened 2 a.m. on October 5th, 2019, as Morley left a popular nightclub off Bay Street and began talking to a young woman on the outside.
All of a sudden, the guy came out and started shouting, "Do you know her?" I said, "No, I don't know her." He said, "Do you know her?" I said, "No, I don't know her." So while he keep on getting louder and louder, I walk off. So when they walk off, he walk off behind me, and he keep on saying the same thing over and over. So I went and talked to my cousin. And he started saying, "So y'all plotting on me?" I said, "Bro, we ain't on your run, bro. We ain't plotting on you."
Morley says the man then pulled out a gun, but didn't identify himself as a police officer until then. Morley says he left and drove to police headquarters, but the gates were closed, so he continued along E Street to head home. However, police cars then pulled up.
And they said, "Come with the car." We came with the car. The first thing come with their mouth, "Are you a police officer?" So I said, "Who sent you? Who dare you stop us? How you know we in the vehicle to stop us right there and then?" Once I talked to him, Hall came out, didn't know he's following us, and he punched me twice in the mouth.
Morley left with a bloody mouth, 2 shaky teeth, and 8 others damaged. But 2 years later, tooth after tooth had to be taken out.
Well, when I went to the dentist, they say my teeth and stuff shaking, and by every day, 2 years pass, so my teeth start dropping out, then my teeth start shaking. So right now, even though I get that little lump sum, I have to fix my whole entire mouth.
How many teeth did you
They're almost 9 now.
In the ruling, Supreme Court Assistant Registrar Ronaldo Toot said, when the Royal Bahamas Police Force's motto, creating safer communities, actually does right by the oppressed, only then will it truly exist. In a just and civil society, there is a legitimate expectation that the police would act fair at all times. He continued saying, the plaintiff's counsel submitted that in this case, no apology has been preferred by the defendants, which demonstrates a lack of remorse. Now, Morley says he has found it in his heart to forgive the officer, but the incident was one that he could never forget.
In a way, yeah, but you can't forget it. They say have a conversation. Only way I have a conversation if you apologize to me.
Morley has been awarded $82,000 by the Supreme Court, but his next move is to finally fix his teeth. He says the past 2 years have been rough, living with his mouth in the state it's in now.
Because, I'm a captain, and I deal with tourism, and the gas I be around, when you want to smile, you can't smile because, you get teeth. Some people, they look at you a funny way when you have your teeth missing. So, at the end of the day, it's fragile, and, you have to bear with it. And
the Officer Hall, at the center of this matter, remains on the job.
Okay, our Kyle Joaquin with that report there. Boy, that is unbelievable. It's hard to hear. It is so tough when you feel for. Wow,
it's angering.
Feel for Pedro Morley there. That
yeah,
is stuff.
The part that I think angers me a lot, and I think a lot of other, I believe a lot of other Bahamians, is if Dwight, if you or I in our respective jobs, even me on my own show and Guardian, were to do certain things, at least in my case, I know that I'm gone. Like yes, we're gone. We don't have a job. But in this case, you literally can cause harm and damage to someone permanently. Lose they call X amount of days pay. I don't know if that's true or not.
Yes, but 7 days. That was what he was.
That's ridiculous.
That's what he forfeited.
And then you stay on the job.
That was punishment.
You can see, and this is the precedent that it sets. I keep saying this. I say this over and over again. The precedent that it sets is there is very little, if any, consequences or recourse that anybody from the public can take. You can have, and I'm sure it's happened before, based on what happened in Shane Gibson's case. You can have someone in a court of law change a witness testimony to corroborate those charges. You can have someone punch you in your mouth, pull a gun on you, pistol whip you, fire off or discharge their weapon at a party, right? These things have happened. This on public record, and they wear a uniform. Nothing you can do about the situation. All you can do is grin and bear. And remember, we had those situations last year, Dwight, about police brutality in the United States. And I think it was me, or I don't know if it's you or I that said it, that we have a lot of these problems right here in our little Bahama land that seem to oftentimes go unnoticed, under the rug, or nothing comes with the situations. Well, we're looking at it again, staring us right in the face. We don't have to look across the pond to the United States or any other country what's happening there with their police force. Right here, on this island.
Absolutely.
And the precedence that it set is it makes the public feel absolutely hopeless, absolutely helpless. If the same people who hurting us are supposed to be the same people protecting us.
Terrible stuff. I do want to say this, though. I heard Morley in that report say he would appreciate an apology from the officer. I got to tell you, yesterday we had a whole show. People were upset, and they were saying whether that wasn't an apology from Minutes, and they demanded an apology from Minutes, and we were like, what would that do? An apology from this officer after 9 of my teeth have been knocked out? What in God's name am I going to do with that? Huh? And plus, I definitely won't believe that you're sorry. But what, all of this, officer, how about that? Do we need to do a civil
restorative
suit?
justice.
How about that?
It should be. Restorative
This
justice.
is insane, right?
Instead of it coming out of taxpayer.
Yes.
Yeah. Guess you're coming
Take
to
everything
salary.
he's got. His house, his car, his ma's house, everything. I don't know, but this can't go like that. No way. Anyway, let's read some of these messages before we take a break. We have to take a break. Apology. Oh, wow. For knocking out 9 of my teeth. Oops, sorry. Yeah, thank you. Okay. Wow. I don't understand it. Anyway, we need to start recording these I'm going to edit this, these officers and put it on social media. And do the body cams even work?
Quick point on that. Remember, we had a commissioner that said that even when they get the body cams, the footage would never be released to the public.
Yeah, and they need to adjust that.
So you remember that, Dwight.
Mm-hmm.
So that needs to change. We have a new minister of national security. Some laws need to be passed and things need to be changed.
Yeah. And they're also wondering about cameras, and the officer should have heard that lady screaming for help. And now this is a disturbing text here. I don't understand what you're saying here. Maybe the cell saga was done to teach her a lesson, huh? However, it was still wrong to do. What type of lessons? And it's not up to police officers to be teaching you lessons there, right?
They're not supposed to be judge, jury, executioner. No.
So and that's insane. What are you going to do? Put her in a cell with a crazy person? A man? It could have been a woman too. But what? Anyway, this one says they can bash the police all they want. If they are wrong for their actions, then there are consequences. Where is the public outrage when kids are killed and young men are gunned down? Everyone remains silent. Well, not everyone, but not enough people. I agree with you on that one.
No,
okay?
but Dwight, we talk about this all the time.
All the time.
Every time these things happen, you and I come on radio, and we say that we talk about it. We talk about everything. We are outraged by all these things. I don't know if that's valid in this conversation now. What they just said.
People
the outrage isn't because of the entirety of the police force. The outrage is because of these few cases that happen and there seem to be no consequences. Yeah. That is the problem. It erodes public trust.
Yeah, absolutely. This one says here, if you're a good performer and you are corrupt, how should your performance be rated? I would like to think poor and low performing. Again, that police officer should have been fired. He's not above the law. That innocent man lost almost 9 teeth. All right. It takes 6 months to train a police officer. Can the force afford to fire every police officer? The force needs double the amount of police they have now. Severe punishment is needed in most instances. Well, we talked about this a few months ago, right? Remember we talked about what happens in Europe and how long it takes. It takes years. The training is to consider what's happening in other parts of the world where it's not just a few weeks, it's years of training in order to make these forces, and how they aren't seeing the issues we're seeing here. And maybe we need to look at that. Someone says here, what happened to the police officer who was recorded on a smartwatch in the police station beating the victim of the fish fry? You remember that one? What came out of that? That was being investigated, right?
So we have a current case. I saw a video this morning on Facebook of a police officer choking a young lady in front of her boyfriend. I don't know if I saw it this morning. So
all manner of cases. This person says the Morley guy had a lousy lawyer, should have filed for at least $1 million. Well, he wanted $250,000. He had saw $250,000. The courts are anyway. Yeah. Let's take a break. When we come back, more. We've got the drawing for today, the Bahamas COVID vaccination raffle. More winners for 2 great prizes. Will it be you? We'll get to that right after the break. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. And then in Morning Blend Business, we're going to be talking about the Bahamas and tourism and agriculture and infrastructure and China. Do we need to do more with China? We're going to hear what our guests say about that. A lot more to get to. Stay with us.
But it ain't getting better, 'cause you can't be blind with eyes wide open.
Hurricane season is here. If you're not prepared, it can really turn your life upside down. Fortunately, there's CG Atlantic General. Our people are here, ready to assist at a moment's notice, with protection like alternative accommodation for those who are displaced due to a storm. It's our priority to make sure you have what you need when you need it most. So when your life gets turned upside down, we can help to turn it around. CG Atlantic General. Good like that. Security and General Insurance Company Limited. General. Contact a CG Atlantic General broker today.
Best rate, no delay. Best rate, no delay.
BTC gives more savings on the best fiber internet. It's super fast with super savings in every package. Compare and see for yourself. Enjoy up to 150 megabits per second plus 157 TV channels and unlimited home phone minutes for only $99.99.
Best rate, no delay.
Visit a BTC store to sign up for the best internet experience on the Bahamas' best fiber network. Conditions apply.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
Earning zero interest on your savings at the bank? With as little as $100, you can start earning interest on your money while you're sleeping, eating, or standing in line at the bank with the CFAL Savings Express Plan. Because at CFAL, your interest is our interest. Call us at 502-7010 or visit cfal.com to start now. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations of Bahamians.
Physical distancing isn't the same as being socially distant. I know that sometimes it can be a bit difficult not being able to engage in the in-person social activities that we did before, whether that be going to the movies or just hanging out in person. But remember that different does not mean distant. As the generation of technology, we can get creative in planning virtual friends and family, play online games with friends, plan virtual family parties, start a cooking competition among cousins, or do a virtual dance party. If you do gather in person, however, remember to avoid gathering in large groups. Always ensure that you wear your mask to cover your mouth and nose. And remember, wash and sanitize your hands often.
This message is brought to you by the PAHO WHO Bahamas and Turks and Caicos Country Office, the Ministry of Health, and the Healthy Bahamas Coalition.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
And we are back here with Morning Blend, and it is that time again. Don, I know you have to go, but let's do this really quickly. The draw raffle. We've got two great prizes, and there will be two great winners. Here's what we're giving away today. We've got one case of Pierre Marcel wine from Liquid Courage. Oh, yes, and especially with the cold front coming in this weekend, that's going to be very helpful, I'm sure our winner will enjoy that. And then we've got 4 passes to the Bahama Water Park, Baha Bay. Oh, man, that's going to be great as well. So let's do this. Let's give away that wine. The case of Pierre Marcel wine from Liquid Courage. The winner, Laverne Lafleur. Laverne Lafleur, you are the winner of that case of Pierre Marcel wine from Liquid Courage. Congratulations, Laverne Lafleur. The U.S. Embassy is going to be contacting you and telling you how you can collect your very soon. Okay, and then our other prize, 4 passes to the Bahama Water Park, Baha Bay. That sounds great. Have you been there yet, Don?
No. I broke. I can't go there.
Well, see, this is why folks have to enter the drawing so they can win these prizes, right? And then all you have to do is register with vaxbahamas.com. Vaxbahamas.com if you are vaccinated or even partially vaccinated. And you can enter and you could potentially win. So 4 passes. You can take 3 friends to maybe even Dawn. Dawn finally can get to go. Bahamar, the Baja Bay Water Park.
Have you been, Dwight?
I've not been yet. I've not been yet. So maybe Don and Dwight. Who knows? Okay. The winner is Israel John. Israel John, you've won the 4 passes to Baja Bay, the Bahamar Water Park. Congratulations to you. Okay, so that's the 4 passes to Bahamar, and Liquid Courage, 1 case of Pierre Marcel wine for Laverne LaFleur. Congratulations to the 2 of you. We'll have another drawing tomorrow morning right here on Morning Blend. Congratulations, everybody. Great stuff there. And thanks again to our partners with the U.S. Embassy for this wonderful initiative. VaxBahamas.com. Register now. Don, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Talk with you again next week. Yes, wonderful stuff. Stay tuned, folks. We're going to be back with Morning Blend Business in just a bit. Like we said, we're going to be getting some reaction to what Tourism and Investment Minister Chester Cooper said about encouraging Chinese investment in tourism, agriculture, and infrastructure. We're going to go there after the break. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Stay with us.
Let's celebrate. It's all right. We're gonna have a good time tonight. Let's celebrate. It's all right.
This is Guardian Radio FM, Nassau, Bahamas. This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning and welcome to Morning Blend Business on this Tuesday, October 26th, 2021. Welcome back to our Morning Blend listeners. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan. This morning, we are talking about what Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Tourism, Investments and Aviation Chester Cooper said recently while speaking to a special group about encouraging Chinese investment in tourism, agriculture, and infrastructure in the Bahamas. This morning, we're going to get reaction to this. I know yesterday we talked about it briefly on the show, and clearly by the response we got from some of our listeners, eyebrows were raised all around. But is this something we do need to be considering, or have we done more than enough already? We're going to put those questions to our guests this morning. We are no strangers to Guardian Radio and businessman Cassie Stewart and C. Alan Johnson. Gentlemen, great to have you with us. Good morning.
Good morning. Buenos dias. Buenos dias.
Yes, Cassie Stewart, you're a world traveler. Where are you in the world today?
I'm in Medellin, Colombia.
Oh, my goodness. That's an interesting place.
Yeah,
All
very
right.
interesting place.
Yeah. All right. So we want to talk to you
Yeah.
about this. And well, Cassie, since you started there, you do a lot of business with China. You're in Colombia today, but you do a lot of business with China, and there are many others like you, entrepreneurs who are getting inventory back and forth to the country as well. So I'm sure to someone like you, this is not that unusual to be doing business with China, but when we talk about partnerships and investing, we've seen some stories that have some people uncomfortable. We look at what's happening around Bahama. When we look at what happened here in Cable Beach, the Bahama, and already the infiltration into the tourism product here, and years back when we talked about agriculture and some concerns that were raised. What are some of the things people need to keep in mind and some of the things that people need to separate when it comes to business with China?
One of the things this approach that the government is taking is basically a Band-Aid approach. And this is what most countries have already tried. China has the resources, China has the people. And what I'm concerned about is that when it comes to food products, China is prepared to take too much shortcut that I'm not prepared to take. One of the things that I'm concerned about when it comes to anything that we can ingest, we've seen stories about how they can manufacture plastic tomatoes, or not saying that this is the case, but when it comes to food products or agricultural products, I think we are overlooking the solution, and the solution is right in our back door. We have a region called the Caribbean Basin, which basically has been producing organic food for the last 200 years. And I don't understand why we always divorce ourselves from the Caribbean and look elsewhere. We could form public partnership within the Caribbean region and solve the same problem. But I think because China has bigger muscles now and more money, that it becomes more attractive. But that attractiveness for some countries has always ended in a bad light. So I just want the government to tread cautiously when it comes to making any move when it comes to agriculture and fisheries with the Chinese, because one thing I know about the Chinese, whilst they can manufacture, they are also prepared to make shortcuts that some can run. And so, but I think we need to stop overlooking where the solution is. The solution is right in our backyard. We have Haiti, we have Jamaica, we have St. Lucia, we have St. Vincent. We have all these countries that have been growing bananas and growing crops for the last 200 years. And we have to tap into that market because the crops that have been growing in these regions are natural and organic, not pesticide based, not GMO based. And so I think we have to begin to turn our eyes left and not to the north or to China. Mm-hmm. And I think that is where I think we could find some salvation when it comes to food security.
Yeah, but C. Alan Johnson, with the expertise though, the manufacturing know-how, I mean, would it be beneficial to at least get advice from a giant like China, or do we not need?
You made a very important statement in regards to that. When you need advice, you buy advice. You don't sell the company. You don't give up the assets. You don't give up the resources. When you look at the Bahamas for the three different areas that we spoke of agriculture, we spoke of tourism, we spoke of solar energy production. The Bahamas is uniquely situated for solar energy production. The Bahamas is uniquely situated for tourism, as we would like to refer to it. I look as being more of hospitality. Hospitality is what people experience. Tourism is what people do. And then when you look at agriculture, in the same way, we are located as a line, the line above the equator. We are located very specifically for certain products, vegetables, fruits, etc. Now, when we begin to talk about needing these so-called expertise, the question is, can anyone in our government or even in our society tell us what our actual needs are? What is our assessments, our current need for involvement for production of electricity? What is our strategy for energy production? What is our strategy for hospitality, which includes tourism, to address our particular needs? And what is our needs for agriculture? There's two aspects that we always address. I hear people talk about food security. There's two things. We have something called food security, and we have something called food sovereignty. For food security, as Cassie spoke of, we don't need the specifically individuals in our country to do the production that we so claim. I hear us talk all the time, we talk about the technology. But when you look at the fact that food security is just being able to feed your nation for a particular amount of time, be it 6 months, be it 1 year, 9 months, whatever the strategy is. And so the food does not have to be produced in the Bahamas. What it shows is that you have a supply that you can sustain your country in an emergency for a particular amount of time. And so when we talk about farming in the Bahamas, we have yet to acknowledge that we are nothing more than pothole farming, and somehow we get impressed with 4 to 5 inches or 6 inches of soil with variations and limestone and etc. We only need to look to countries such as Haiti and other places where the United States itself produces for millions of people. And so utilizing our strategy for food security, we can import and have some strategy for staples. Of course, food security doesn't necessarily mean ham and eggs and toast and these different things for on a daily basis. You're just not having what you would normally have. It's having a 6-month supply of staples, rice, corn, flour, grits, all these different things. It has 6 months that you need. That is a different strategy. Now, food sovereignty is being able to produce as much of them as possible. We are in a technological age. Look at Israel, look at other places. We keep trying to use old methods to address today's environment. We need technology, but we need a strategy for which we want to apply that technology. What is it we're seeking to do?
Yeah.
Are we seeking this food sovereignty, or are we seeking this food security?
So basically you're saying we need a plan, but we don't need to go to others to formulate the plan for us. We need to have our own plan and then see who can assist us to accomplish those goals. Yeah. And that seems to be a big problem with us. We always wait for others to tell us what should be our tourism product, or, as you say, the agricultural plan going forward. So what will need to be done to get us to that point? What needs to happen there?
See, Dwight, the problem is we never really had a plan for agriculture, nor for fisheries, nor for tourism. We wing it as we go.
Right.
Bahamas has 0.8% arable land, which is very, very small. And so we need technology to be able to produce the crops we need to feed ourselves. And also, if you want to be able to export, that means we need to look at vertical farming. Vertical farming, where we can perhaps we can engage China for the technology for vertical farming, one. In addition to that, I was having a conversation with the gentleman for investment out of St. Lucia. And he said that the Bahamas has the money, we got the land. If your farmers come, we can make the land available and you can produce as much crops as you want. So Bahamian farmers can now grow insurance in Vincent and be able to send crops back to the Bahamas, but also feed the Eastern Caribbean. But approaches like this has never been taken because we are so insulated and we don't expand out of our borders, that we don't understand what it is to work with our Caribbean region and our Caribbean partners. And in addition to that, like C. Allen said, America has been using Haiti to grow crops for a long time. Haiti has the land, Haiti has cheap labor, and throughout the region, because there's a lot of volcanic soil, which is very rich in growing crops, you have good crops coming out of the Caribbean region. For us to now abandon the Caribbean to go straight to China, I think that is a bad move. But I think the government has already made up their mind. At least the record will reflect that we've made our statements that, listen, it may not be good in the long run, because we know that China is prepared to take shortcuts when it comes to fishing, when it comes to agriculture, that we are not prepared to take. And when it comes to ingesting products, one of the things that I was always afraid of, even though I manufacture a lot of products, I'm afraid of buying topical products or any products to ingest out of China because, of course, you don't know the ramifications of if they ingest it or put it on their skin. And so that's one of the things that I'm always afraid of. And you have to always make sure that you have your indemnity insurance when you go into that line. So when you're coming into manufacturing food to eat, you need to know exactly what are they doing at all times, because I'm not prepared to take shortcuts with my life. And I don't want to put the 400,000 people's lives when it comes to food and ingesting food. Now, solar, it's another thing because it doesn't affect anybody's lives. Tourism, ended their muscle around the world in tourism. And even here in the Bahamas, practically they own the tourism product in the Bahamas, from Grand Bahama and in New Providence now. It's just a matter of whether or not they're going to strengthen that and what is the outlook. Now, you know that there is a little tug of war between the United States and China over the Bahamas, who wants to, I guess, flex their muscle as to who has supremacy. And so that's gonna be a bone of contention in the short run as well too, because America is not going to take it too lightly that we're flirting too heavy with China. It's just the way it is, and so we have to also know how to play that card when that card is dealt. But we have to be able to look at our strengths and play that.
They're doing the same, but yes.
Yes, I mean, it's a diplomatic war always going on. But China is prepared to put money where their mouth is, and gifts from stadiums and opening up hotels. And America has not been doing that lately. And so, but I think as a nation, though, we have to be able to come up with our own plan so that as we move forward, we know exactly what we want and we don't get dictates from foreign nations. Because if you hear the stories about China investing in African countries and they're defaulting on loans and they're taking ports and so on, the story is not good. And all across the world, China knows exactly what they're doing. Just look at how the Burma deal played out. They know exactly what they're doing. They know what they were doing from the beginning.
But we have to be careful. Sorry. We have to be careful in our choice. You know, we have, again, Cassius spoke of stadium diplomacy. But when you look at the real fact is that we have been gifted things that was not necessarily what we wanted, how we intended on using it. Because for the stadium was gifted to us at a certain amount, and I think we paid twice or three times that amount to build it. We have a stadium that is practically unusable because the specs we use is designed by us for us. It was just simply planted here in the Bahamas. We had to pay for the infrastructure to go around it, and there was no strategy attached as to how do we recoup our investments. And this is the problem we have, is that we keep making, you ask, what is our strategy for eating a grape compared to eating an elephant? Well, the steps are necessarily the same, one bite at a time. And so when we say what is the need we have, can Bahamians themselves be given the opportunity? If we actually know what it is we're trying to achieve, we can actually have an analysis concerning a strategy to achieve those and foresee how Bahamians themselves fits into the equation. 1, 2, or 3 of us may not know. We've never taken the time to basically integrate Bahamians into our economic strategy. We hear the talking heads in the pundits all the time. Just bring your money, go invest. What they're simply saying is surrender your money to some investment fund or something and wait for a small % of interest or something that you make, as opposed to ownership. And that's the conversation we have to have. What does it take for our Bahamians? Whether you provide them with the intellectual capital they need to own the tourism industry, to own the solar industry, to own the agriculture industry. Because we have, with agritech right now, we have the seas, we have the land for, we talk about not the soil, but I'm talking about the land to put these agro technologies in place. We could develop new methodologies, but what do we have even for solar energy? We say we want solar investment. I would love to see the energy strategy. I hear us talk about this energy strategy in COP26. I would like to see the published strategy that we have that shows us the reduction that we need to bring down in consumption. I would like to see the strategy for integrating solar, as the government, in case any of you did not miss, the government promised financing for solar energy or renewable energy in their blueprint for change. How do you integrate them into home? How do you reduce what we need as opposed to buying some megawatt plant, which then still doesn't solve our problem. It doesn't solve our infrastructural problem. It doesn't solve our case need problem. It doesn't tell me how much energy we need now or into the future based on a national development plan. So in essence, we are financing the future to basically integrate into yesterday's behavior.
Yeah.
And so we need to just decide, do you know, if you get 1,000 homes, we have 20,000, 30,000 homes in the Bahamas, in New Providence, whatever, what would 50,000 homes going on the solar produce? And having those itself pay for itself as opposed to having them bring some mega solar farm. And so we can solve these problems ourselves. We just never have examined what are they to be solved.
I want to read a bit about what Chester Cooper, Minister Cooper, said to the folks at this forum, this virtual forum that he was addressing. So he says, quote, "The Bahamas is a highly valued brand in the international tourism marketplace. An investment in you a good return on investment in the short to medium term. Think boutique hotels and vacation rentals. The Bahamas stands at number 6 in terms of traveler preference for Airbnb vacation rentals in the Caribbean and Latin America. Any activity related to the sea and beaches, culturally immersive activities, second homes, heritage tourism, culinary tourism. There is an exhaustive list of tourism-related areas for investments, but tourism is not the only area." And he went on to talk about joint ventures and said that with infrastructure, he said, quote, "Infrastructural developments, roads, docks, and bridges are high priority given the span of more than 20 major islands. We will shortly launch requests for proposals for the complete redevelopment of all of the major airports in our country. I want to emphasize our invitation for more Chinese investments in the islands of the Bahamas through joint ventures and our commitment to lower the trade barrier between China and the Bahamas, as well as expand education and training opportunities for Bahamians in China and the other way around as well," telling the delegation that the Bahamas remains fertile ground for investments. All right, so that's a lot that he's saying is essentially open for business there. And a lot of people are going to be saying, well,
Dwight, let me just say
where's
something.
the welcome mat for some other folks, including people here?
Yeah, let me just say something. We often have this conversation about foreign direct investments, and I'm just always perplexed by those in between it. We practice in the Bahamas foreign direct ownership. We do not practice foreign direct investment. Foreign direct investment is the inflow and control outflow of capital. We still have 80% of our production that still leaves the country, but we don't have any inflow of capital only for which ownership occurs. We love to talk about countries like Singapore and Norway and Estonia, etc. We only need to look at their methodology of land ownership, to actually protect ownership. We haven't done that since the Removal of Property Act. We only need to look at the fact of what real estate costs in the Bahamas and how it will be driven up by individuals who come and begin to develop around in a particular area. But if we look at this very carefully, in the new immersive reality of fintech, we can insert hundreds, if not thousands, of Bahamians on a yearly basis into the ownership aspect of these so-called heritage tourism, culinary tourism, second homes, immersive activities. You don't sell our culinary tourism, the restaurants, because I can own a restaurant and bring in a Chinese chef and bring in a Russian chef or whatever type of culinary experience I want to have. But if a proper business is developed, I can actually be a custodian because I bought the expertise. The whole concept is ownership, not me actually doing it. Mm-hmm. And so we only need to look at how do we get Bahamians to build second homes based on a business plan, not a mortgage. This is the biggest problem we have too. We keep telling Bahamians you can't afford a $2 million mortgage, but clearly they can afford a $2 million business plan that the house itself serves as the security. And the business itself also serves security. And the question is, we've had this product for so long. We are a powerful brand because you only need to add Bahamas to the house, Bahamas to the cultural experience, Bahamas to the heritage experience, Bahamas to the hospitality experience, sunshine, sea, and even service that we have to bring back up. But no one can explain to us the integration of behemoths into the ownership aspects of this. We simply always tell them, you don't have the money, so we're going to bring somebody else in to do it. But you haven't created an environment to even develop a process where behemoths can truly reach out of the Bahamas. I mean, we have moved towards it with the DARE bill, which people have yet to explain. They still think their bill is about Bitcoin. A lot of them don't understand it's about smart contracts and all these other different things. We have the crowdfunding aspect of it. It was a policy decision of the previous administration. I think it was $5 million that you can bring in now without any major central bank hindrances. And so, but have we taught them how to prepare the business plan so they could see someone successful and copy it and everything else? Have we helped them prepare agri-tech as to actually grow enhanced tomato growing or other products and things that we don't need for ourselves, which is the sovereignty aspect of it, and for the supply chain for which the so-called $1 billion a year is for servicing the tourism? No one can tell us the list of the products that the people should even go and invest into to be able to get into the marketplace. Now, let me understand. Cassie spoke with the photosanitary standard. I remember from 2004 with the minister from Long Island, Cartwright, was talking about the photosanitary standards that we have to meet the requirements within 1 or 2 years. Here it is almost 20 years later, and we have yet to meet any major benchmark and photosanitary standards for our food across. And that's because we haven't developed a production, local as import and whatever else. And so we then become a dumping ground for the various things that we have.
Cassius, see you nodding. We're going to get to you in a second, but let's take this call. Good morning, caller. You're on Morning Blend Business.
Morning, gentlemen.
Hi.
Yes, and good morning to your faithful listeners at Guardian Radio and Morning Blend. I had to call in. I was compelled to call in because you have some powerful hitters on behalf of the Bahamian people on in the person of your two guests. And so I would, if you would allow me 30 seconds to make this point so they can address it after I hang up. I want to start by saying to the Bahamian people, you are and I am. Together we are the money, not currency, because there's a difference between money and currency. When the Creator Yahweh created man, he created us for his inheritance. So we are, and the natural resources he then created for man was the currency that man or humanity was to use to glorify their lives while they praise Yahweh Elohim. Your comment, I can go on, but I will touch some other things some other time. Good.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. We got another call. Let's take this one, and then we'll get to you, Cassius. Good morning, caller on the air.
Oh, golly day. This is Strachan, the voice along with you and your panel, Dwight.
Hi.
Of course, what's his name? The other brother whose name I'm always forgetting. But what I want to say, I want to thank Mr. Johnson. Charles, I want to thank him for his input. You're 100% right. We're supposed to be building this country for the Bahamians. And according to that script in which you read from the Deputy Prime Minister, he's trying to give the Chinese everything. After that, the Bahamian people got
I don't know about everything, but sure. But it's a lot.
Finish, right? May I finish? May I finish?
Yeah.
The thing is, we might as well go back to the UBP, the real UBP, because those guys in there now are joking according to that script in which you just read from the Deputy Prime Minister. He's talking foolishness.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Cassius Stewart.
One of the things I'm afraid of is selling off our airports, privatizing the airports for private investments. Just look at how it works in Grand Bahama. It is privately owned, of course. Now you see ticket prices are much higher going out of Grand Bahama. I know that the previous government was in the discussion of doing the same thing, or privatizing the airports through the Bahamas. The problem with our governments, is we always had problems with micromanaging we cannot micromanage anything. And when it comes to airports in Governor's Harbor, which is a dump, airports in Roxanne, which is a dump, it seems as if we can own it, but we can't manage it. We don't have the skills to manage it. And that has always been the problem. And so what the government has been trying to do is dump airports off now to private investors because they have problems with managing. The only problem with that is it's going to cause a further expense on the Bahamian people because those who are privately owning it now is looking for a profit. And so airport fees and so on will go up. And so
increase profits yearly.
Exactly, and in yearly. So we got to be careful with that. And I think that the move is to now privatize all the airports through the whole Bahamas. But I think we got to put a caution mark there. When it comes to the solar farming and probably solarizing the Bahamas, do you think so? It's not going to happen. And just look at the main players who own Sun Oil, who benefits from I guess, benefits from us paying utility bills now. They're not going to sit quietly and let it happen. And who controls Sun Oil? Both the FNMs and the PLPs. And so
people always say that, though. But I mean, if we are the majority of people demanded, do we really not believe that would make a difference? Oh boy, is it that bad?
You could demand.
I would agree with you on that, Dwight. But Cass, sorry for interjecting, Cass. Let me say this. Let's use Grand Bahama, where we're having this fight about energy. The solution is right within our hand. Decrease our demand and declare personal sovereignty for energy production. The problem is there is no infrastructure that has been created for individuals to produce energy in spite of the PPPs or the IPP designation within the structure. And the energy we produce is not conducive to what is called proper business practices. And so the problem is that we are in a cage, not given the opportunity, because technically there is no real strategy. Because when you look at the production of solar energy, wind energy, and the potential for tidal energy in the Bahamas, we could go beyond this so-called date of 2030. I mean, this benchmark that we have for 2030, we could achieve that in about 2 to 3 years. Wow. And I put to you that we probably could go to 70, 75% when you look at the technology for batteries and on-demand heating, distributed power, and all of these different things, microgridding the Bahamas. We can solve our energy problem in the shortest period of time. There is no comprehensive strategy for Bahamians to be integrated into the energy market.
And
it's
like not using the expertise of a China help us in that regard, or you feel that we can do that?
You're overlooking the economic benefits and economic consequences of solarizing. Who does it hurt the most, and who does it help? If you solarize the Bahamas, it helps the Bahamians. Who does it hurt? Okay. The power brokers. The power brokers who makes the legislations. And if I'm making the legislation and I'm making a legislation that's going to hurt my pocket, I'm not going to make that legislation.
But this is where education comes in. I mean, like this, I think right now, COVID has provided a unique opportunities because Bahamians are now paying attention, where 40% of the people have not been called back to work. There's homes without power, homes whatever. There's a demand now, and I think this is the time for Cassius, individuals like yourself and myself, to step up, to let people know that you have not because you have demanded not, and begin to educate them and to push back for actually these so-called strategies and information to be published. And so I am moving towards that. If I can participate with government, our government, in making those demands that is necessary for the development of my environment, starting here with Grand Bahama.
I'm going to provide you, Dwight, with the real cost of what they purchase fuel for internationally on the international market. I have the documents. Mm-hmm. And then you can have a real discussion as to who's really, really benefiting from this whole process and why solar cannot come and they will not allow it to come.
Okay. All right. Let's take a break. When we come back, we've got a lot of great text messages here. I'll get you to respond to those and talk about what we should be doing when you hear if the government's talking like this, more of what should be our response to this. And are there opportunities for Bahamians hearing this to perhaps reach out to Chinese companies and partner with them? Since we're rolling out the welcome mat. We'll get to that after the break. This is Morning Blend Business. We'll be back. Stay with us.
Wait, you know what's going down tomorrow?
Nobody what happening?
Joe bringing the knife to school? He could do Junior in?
For what?
Well, he fooled with Joe girl.
Mother sick, and you nothing. So that means you got a big fight tomorrow.
So whose side you on?
Side? I trying to stay in school, not Simpson Pen. We gotta tell somebody about this fight.
Tell somebody? I ain't no snitch. I mean cool, you know.
Wait, if you so cool, then you need to stay in school and stay out of the fight.
Yeah, but if I don't hang on Joe's side, him and he boys coming for me next.
All right, so we definitely gotta tell somebody. We gotta prevent the fight.
What I say, I don't want nobody call me snitch.
We could just call Crime Stoppers. You could report what you know, and nobody gotta know it's you.
So how did I boy?
All you gotta do is call them, or you text them through the Crack Crime Bahamas app, and nobody can know it's you.
Then the police come looking for me for more info, and when they finish with them, Joe them coming looking for me?
When you call Crime Stoppers, the calls go directly to Miami, and they don't ask nothing about you. Then if you get the pen from them, and they can claim a reward later using that same pen.
Plus, everything's scrambled, so nobody can read what you're saying.
Call 328-8477 from Nassau or 242-300-8477 from the Family Islands.
Earning zero interest on your savings at the bank? With as little as $100, you can start earning interest on your money while you're sleeping, eating, or standing in line at the bank. Because at CFAL, your interest is our interest. Call us at 502-7010 or visit cfal.com to start now. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations of Bahamians.
That's the sound of a bite-sized payment I made on my new laptop.
Can I make a bite-sized payment on this amazing vacation?
Yes, with Scotia Select Pay. Now, my big-ticket credit card purchases are more manageable with flexible bite-sized payments over 3, 6, 9, or 12 months at a lower interest rate. Scotia Select Pay allows me to better plan my expenses over time. The best part? No credit checks or financing application. Visit bs.scotiabank.com. Conditions apply.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Out in the West Indies, we stand there on our...
It's time for your morning business report brought to you by CFAL. The government is awaiting a meeting with local Paradise Island investor Toby Smith before making a decision on Royal Caribbean International's Royal Beach Club plans for Paradise Island. That's according to Press Secretary Clint Watson. He told Guardian Business that the government has already had an introductory meeting with the cruise line. Under the previous Minister administration, RCI's Bahamas plan seemed to be moving ahead unabated, except for the long delay in negotiating the purchase of the Grand Lucayan Resort. However, certain pronouncements made by Prime Minister Davis when he was in opposition and Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Tourism, Investments and Aviation Chester Cooper's recent branding of the former administration's deal as an, quote, egregiously bad one, could skew the future of the Royal Caribbean and the ITM Group's stalled negotiations to purchase the resort. Environmentalists also have called on Davis to scrap RCI's plan to develop that beach club on a portion of Paradise Island, citing the PLP's emphasis on environmental conservation and Davis's threat while in opposition to pull the cruise line's Crown Land lease. Clint Watson says the Davis administration will not make a decision before it sits with Smith to discuss his plans for the Paradise Island Lighthouse and Beach Club project. Both Smith and RCI were granted Crown Land for leases for different parts of Paradise Island, but Smith contends that a part of RCI's lease encroaches on his at a small part of the western side of Paradise Island, where there is a beach. Both parties view this as part of the island. This part of the island is pivotal to their projects. Cable and Wireless CEO Inga Schmidt says met recently with B Union executives and Cable Bahamas Limited Group CEO Franklin Butler, and plans to meet with the Davis administration during a visit next month. According to a BTC statement, Schmidt stressed the company's focus on customer service and the continued expansion of its fiber to the home network across the country. The statement says that Schmitz met with BTC executives to finalize the company's strategy and key priorities for 2022. And FTX owner and cryptocurrency mogul Sam Bankman-Fried thinks more cryptocurrency companies could flee the U.S. and head to the Bahamas. Bankman-Fried says the exodus could be coming if the U.S. fails to build out a regulatory regime for digital currency. FTX, the world's third largest cryptocurrency exchange, recently opened a headquarters here in the Bahamas, then raised $420 million in Series B funding, pushing the company to a $25 billion valuation. In your Market Watch, recapping trading on the BISX from Monday, your market movers, Commonwealth Bank moving 26,531 shares, closing down 8 cents to 252. Commonwealth Brewery moving 1,000, down up 29 cents to 760. Finco moving 250, unchanged at 933. Famguard moving 200, unchanged at 1035. Consolidated Water unchanged at 224. Emira Incorporated unchanged at 1165. The BISX All Share Index closing at 2,085.54, up 2.55. That's your Market Watch, and that is your morning business report brought to you by CFAL, growing wealth for future generations. Okay, and we are back here with Morning Blend Business on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan speaking with C. Alan Johnson and Cassie Stewart, talking about what the government seems to be doing, inviting Chinese investments in the tourism, agriculture, and infrastructure sectors here in the country, getting reaction from this. And getting some great text messages here. Somebody says here, what Cassie said is very serious. The Chinese basically own our tourism product. Think about that. Another nation benefits more one industry than we do. Well, this person says here, please read my text. No foreign country or entity should be allowed in our fisheries industry. The holy grail for the Bahamas. I trust not a single politician, none, will negotiate any investment within fisheries. Dwight, it's the only thing that we can depend on to feed ourselves. We grow basically nothing. I will trust the devil more than our officials, so leave it right there. Chester, no thanks for when this is ready. Okay, I don't know the last part of it, but anyway, they're not feeling it at all. All right, and another text here. No, I can't read those. But anyway, okay, so people are very much on the fence, to say the least.
Let me interject right there. Can we go to the blueprint for change? Home Sweet Home program. Bahamians, including those living abroad, will be encouraged and incentivized to build homes throughout the family island. An opportunity for second homes, rental units, and Airbnbs. Develop a program via the Small Business Development Center to fund these Airbnbs. We know that on Grand Bahama, based on a study that's a number of years old, that we need about 10,000 units to be what's called net zero, and about 20,000 units on Grand Bahama to be tourism sustainable, including the things that would have to be developed to support them. Well, clearly, that's a method right there for us to have VRBOs and Airbnbs to meet the needs of the tourism product, because people will not be coming to the Bahamas for rooms. They used to rooms. They'll be coming for hospitality or their tourism actions. So where's the strategy to actually implement these before you come back and build the mega hotels that basically become all-inclusive and doesn't include a billion? In Abaco now, you need about 15,000 rooms. In Eleuthera alone, where we're about to destroy the environment, we could put about 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 rooms, or even 10,000 rooms on Eleuthera, strategically planned Bahamians, where people will fly in to experience that environment that Disney is about to destroy. And we could fund it when we begin to have more air people coming in, we begin to fund the airports as opposed to giving it off to someone with no strategy for actually how to drive revenue to that island to fund those particular airports in the PP&Ps. Let's go over to their energy policy. The energy policy talk about funding 100% financing for residential renewable energy. The chances are if you provide 100% financing for that and a proper strategy for a smart grid and micro production and etc., there's a chances are behemoths themselves can move to actually producing probably 70% of the energy, and BPL itself will become nothing more than a backup battery for the entire Bahamas with a strategy, not giving out solar where we actually continue to consume as opposed to reducing consumption and changing our habits. That's a particular strategy. When you talk about the same thing with the airports, etc., we ask, what is the strategy when we hand over these, they ask for 30, 40, 50 years because they need to recover their investments, when no one can give you the numbers of the number of people that needs to go to this island to make this airport sustainable. The question is, what are they going to the island for? What is a national strategy for airlift in the Bahamas when we transition from these mega hotels? Mind you now, we have a couple dozen mega hotels every single day comes here. One only need to go and look at what cruise ships are. Cruise ships are all-inclusive hotels. Cruise ships are all-inclusive experiences. We are nothing more than a stop-off on the experience as opposed to developing a product that we are 60, 75 miles off to the United States, as well as a stop-off for places from China and other places for them to come to the Bahamas. Where is the tourism strategy that we could actually move to focus build? Because construction alone will carry the Bahamas if we have a purpose-built environment to build into the tourism product, to integrate the energy environment, and to actually fulfill the demands with a comprehensive strategy using technology to meet the needs of the food consumption. How, if I know exactly where my lettuce is going to go and the volume I need, I can actually create a business plan for agriculture in that environment. But we are simply saying we want to borrow and we'll figure out how we'll pay by happenstance as opposed to have a strategy. You could not go to anywhere what we do. If you treat the Bahamas as a business and you walk into the bank, they will consider you lunatic because they're going to ask you, where is your plan? Where's your strategy? We cannot qualify for a regular loan. So I'm simply saying this, let's have an accelerated conversation on this, the national development plan beyond ideas of what we need to do, but actually strategies of how we need to achieve them.
I see the wheels turning in your head, Cassius Stewart.
What I'm in favor of is for the next 40 years, we build the Bahamas around Bahamians and for Bahamians. And
by Bahamians too.
we cannot build a country around the people, but not for its people. And so the economic model when it comes to PPPs, Airbnbs, agriculture, should all have the ingredients of Bahamians playing the first and the premier role. If we are taking second, third tier roles, the model don't make sense to me. I think the model that we have right now, it's a model where Bahamians was fourth and fifth in line. Hence, most of Bahamians, 90% of account owners don't have no money in it. So everybody's broke in the Bahamas because we never was a part of the economic model. The economic model was built around the Bahamians, but not for Bahamians. And so what the new administration is proposing is basically putting Bahamians again in the second and third seat. And so if you want to make an approach to build the agriculture industry, make sure that the Bahamian farmers are in the lead. Allow them to go and engage the investors to come in to partner. You don't bring the partner in and give them supremacy over the Bahamian farmers. When it comes to the Airbnb, you say to the Bahamians, listen, we were providing $20, $30 million for investment to building small boutique hotels throughout the Bahamas, and we're making it available for Bahamians. Do you have land available in the islands? There are tons of Bahamians who got land sitting there and ready to do something. Then make the money available for Bahamians to build boutique hotels to get involved in Airbnb. And then you could also put some seasoning, some sweetening on top of it and say, listen, we boutique casino. And then once you do that, you are ensuring that you have constant flows of people coming in. And so we have to make sure put in the right management to make sure that the airports are these these jurisdictions are always properly managed, and Bahamians are capable of managing and owning our own airports. We don't have to. We always look outside and forget to look at our own selves.
Right. Yeah.
And so the economic model for the next 40 years must include Bahamians at the forefront of everything.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. I mean, we look at how China does business with foreign companies, and when you have to you have to partner with an existing company in China, and you be a minority partner in your business there. But we don't seem to be encouraging that here at all.
In fact, if China lends you money, labor comes with attached to it. So this is why we were complaining about $1 billion. There's a certain percentage of labor that's attached to that money because they're looking out for their people. If anything, any production, any economic production going on in the Bahamas, it must include Bahamians at the forefront. And so we got to raise Bahamians out of the doldrum of poverty and put them into the economic light of prosperity. And the only way we can do that is the government have the power to do it. There can be no economic expansion if Bahamians are not at the forefront. There could be no agriculture revolution if Bahamian farmers are not at the forefront. And you give them the tools so that we can make it happen.
All right, so we can make a case that tourism and agriculture and even the airports, perhaps this is not necessary. But what about other aspects of infrastructure? We know that we need better roads. We need more roads. We need bridges. We need quality highways. In New Providence, we might need a rail system. Is this not the time? Is this not an opportunity for us to partner with where they have shown some expertise? You said no already? C. Allen? Okay.
Because again, what are you building more roads for? What we need is a proper infrastructure for a busing system, not the one we have, but a transportation system so we could repair the roads we have. And so we need. So do we spend a few $1 billion on road, or do we spend $1 billion on a proper transportation?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Maybe a light rail system, even beyond buses now. Let's think beyond that.
Right,
something.
But let me say something. Right, we keep talking about investments. The money we need is right here in the Bahamas. It may not be in cash, but it is leverageable. If you look at the 3 million acres and the fact of the production value of the acres even in the sea, if you put 15,000 acres in a sovereign wealth fund, attach a production value of only 1 year of $300,000 a year. And for those of them who think it doesn't happen, just go take an acre and put a hotel and see what it generates per acre. So we talk with the sovereign wealth fund. The partners that we should be looking for is the partnership with the sovereign wealth fund, who we should be partnering with that represents the future, not the present, but it builds both the present so that it can sustain the future. So we have the resources that we can leverage. We talk about the fishing industry, right? The agriculture or fishery. What does it take for me to help a person develop a business loan where in 10 years, and that even $500,000 loan, they only need to bring me $50,000 worth of fish and supplies, which is practically free for them, but they have a strategy of production that they don't need to give up ownership in that boat to own their fishing boat or whatever it is to sustain it and whatever expertise they need. And so I'm simply saying that if we really want to talk about what we need to go going forward, we should start the conversation today on establishing a sovereign wealth fund where all assets, known, unknown, seen and unseen, tangible and intangible, is surrendered to a sovereign wealth fund. And where Cassius spoke about why we can't maintain the airports, because we can't run the airports when we put family, friends, lovers, finances, whatever in place with no expertise except what they bring from the 10 years ago when they served once again. And so the problem is we've been doing it. If we really want to talk about national development, let's start with separating the illusion of knowledge that our leadership brings to the plate and put things in a sovereign wealth fund and hire sovereign asset management companies that possesses the expertise we need to manage and exploit the resources that we have for the benefit of Bahamians. So we can raise $10 billion, $15 billion, $30 billion in a land trust or whatever, not even putting in the whole $300 million. But we put the whole $300 million in the sovereign wealth fund. But let's set aside $50,000 that we can leverage, not give up, where we can develop the economic value for which we can have a return on investment. These are the conversations we have to have. We don't have a lack of resources where we have a lack of ideas coming from our leadership.
Yeah, Cassius, you get the final word in our final minute this morning. Where do we go from here? Seeing as
I just think we got to be a little more creative when we are redesigning our economic model. The present economic model that we have built over the last 50 years has failed because when you look at the average Bahamian, we are all broke. The recipe for a successful country. I think moving forward, though, the government has the tools to be able to make sure that the new economic model works for everybody. And so Airbnbs, agriculture, solar farming, whatever we do, we got to make sure that the main ingredient is Bahamians. And if Bahamians are the main ingredients, then anybody coming in got to take second seat to Bahamians. So whether that be going full force into the tourism sector through Airbnb, hotels, casinos, and so on, Bahamians at the forefront. Agriculture, who's taking the lead in that regard? Bahamians. Building the airports, who's taking that lead road? Bahamians. Remember now, some 40 years ago, when you look at Eleuthera used to produce enough food to feed the Bahamas. And it's because of our lack of interest that we're not producing now. If we get back to there now, we can now say we could generate enough food to be able to feed ourselves. And the people are ready. I think the new generation is ready. They just need the leadership. But the leadership cannot surrender its leadership to a foreign power. Now, I'm gonna leave this with you all now. 3 of China's major real estate company has just defaulted on their loans. 3 of China's major real estate companies have defaulted on their loan and about to collapse. That means there may be an economic recession in China within the next few months. With that being said, we have to watch that too. And so when you're watching global politics and global economics, you got to know exactly what's going to happen. So I think the next model should be Bahamians first, Bahamians at the forefront.
Yeah. All right. Great discussion. Clearly, there's a lot more that can be said, but at least we're starting here. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Really appreciate it. Cassius Stewart and C. Alan Johnson. Great insights there. We hope people are listening and understanding that we have to say all of this as well. Thank you very much. Okay. Cassius, safe trip back whenever you come back.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. And C. Alan.
I wanted to speak Spanish, but I forgot.
Okay. Let's just say adios.
Greetings from Medellin, Colombia.
Okay. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more Morning Blend Business and Morning Blend right here on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan, have a great day. Stay tuned for On the Clock with Aaron Green coming up next.